South Africa and Germany last night were all set to go for an elimination matchup here at Armin Wolf Arena, and the weather did not cooperate. So the drama gets extended one further day as we welcome you in to day number 4 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier from here in Regensburg. As today, an elimination matchup between the host nation Germany and upstart South Africa, which lost by just 1 run in its opener to Spain. Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Mott, alongside former Team Australia and Seattle Mariners pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. Ryan, this morning I woke up. The last thing I said before I left the hotel room was, well, I won't need my sunglasses. We actually have sun for the first time in this qualifier. And we got a really interesting pitching matchup as well, as the South Africa squad will send out Kieran Lovegrove, a former Futures game participant, going against, to say the least, a veteran on the other side for Germany.
For sure. And both these teams, we know how tense it has been. Obviously yesterday, all the build-up for that second game, that elimination game. But it all happens today, the host Germany trying to stay alive in front of the home crowd.
This is going to be an interesting one for Germany, because this team with a handful of affiliated players really did not have the game it wanted in its opener against Great Britain. And today, you lose, you're out for each of these sides.
Yeah, and you mentioned that game 1 too. They're going up against Great Britain, a team that already had a game under their belt. We know how big that is, and you can see they just took them a little bit to get going. You mentioned some of the ex-big leaguers they had, and they have a strong team. But, man, they are up against it today in this hungry South African team.
6 teams in this qualifier, 6 teams coming up in about 10 days or so for our second qualifier, which will take place in Panama City. And the top 2 teams from each of these squads moving on to the main World Baseball Classic tournament in March. As we already know that tomorrow, the top 2 teams so far here in Germany will play with a WBC berth on the line. That is Spain against Great Britain. The winner of this game moves on to square off with the Czech Republic, and that contest is coming up tomorrow as well. The winner of that game will face the loser of Spain and Great Britain, and that matchup will determine our second WBC participant in this modified double elimination format. It is a matchup that today, Steve Janssen and his team, I think, are looking for the ability to wipe the slate clean from that first game of their WBCQ.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Again, we had a sellout crowd, the home team. They kept their pitching intact, too. We've talked a lot about this throughout this tournament, how important it is to have your arms fresh and ready to go, and also avoiding some of the pitch limitations. So they have a healthy bullpen behind them and ready to go in front of this home crowd.
Let's take a look at this starting lineup as announced for South Africa today by their manager, Andrew Berglund. The leadoff man is Jonathan Phillips. He's the third baseman. Victor Ngope gets a bump up in the order from the 9 spot. He's batting second at second. Kyle Boita is the catcher, batting third. Tyler Smith, the shortstop, will clean up. Dale Feltman's the DH, and Benjamin Smith is in center. The latter third of the order, Tyrone Milne in left field. Brandon Million is at first base, and Jason Carlsa is in right field.
And pitching for this German team, it's Cuban-born Anormal Marquez. He is 47 years old. He has been on this stage plenty representing Team Germany, and he has got the host nation on his back today.
And the first pitch at 12:03 in the afternoon is ball 1, and we are underway as Jonathan Phillips tries to get things started for South Africa. Anormal Martinez, 6 years ago in the 2016 WBC qualifiers, was the oldest player on Germany's roster, and 6 years ago he's back on Germany's roster, and he gets the ball in a do-or-die game. This is amazing longevity. If you are a lefty who throws strikes, you can find a place to play baseball for a long time. He married into a family here in Germany, which has given him his German passport, his German citizenship, but he's also lived in Europe for almost 20 years now, so a guy who really embodies a lot of German baseball.
Yeah, I think the big key right now for Anormal Marquez, you mentioned throwing strikes. It's so important. We have seen when guys have the ability to throw strikes, obviously getting in good counts, anything can happen. But I think for him, he's going to have to go to that changeup a ton. Look, he's 47 years old. Velocity is not going to be a huge factor. It's going to be the changeup and breaking ball as this game goes on.
Marquez born December 11th, 1974, and Jonathan Phillips serves one down the left field line. He's got extra bases to lead off this game as the South Africa third baseman cruises into second. A leadoff double to get his squad started in the first.
And we talked about how hungry this South African team is. Look how fired up Jonathan Phillips is. Took him a little bit to get going at the top of this lineup against Spain on that first day, dealing with a bit of velocity, but all over this fastball middle of the plate.
So the leadoff man in scoring position, here is Victor Ngope.
He's moved up the lineup too, earned that second spot in the lineup, having a big day in that 9-hole. First game against Spain.
Victor really looked good out of that 9 spot. He had the sacrifice bunt in the 3rd inning, and he just made good contact the rest of the day. As he'll bunt here, he'll send it right back to the mound. No opportunity for Marquez to get the out at first. So he does the job the same way again, and the runner moves to 3rd with 1 out.
And if you're new to the international game, you will see a ton of small ball. You will see a lot of bunting, even from the 1st inning, because every inning counts. Those early runs are so crucial for what it does for your team's momentum. And South Africa already putting on the manufacturer button, pressing the manufacturer button.
I like that, pressing the manufacturer button.
You don't see that in the U.S.
Yeah.
You don't see bunting. You don't see pushing guys over. But you see it here in the world stage 100%.
South Africa has not led yet in this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. They were supposed to, after a day off, play yesterday, but the rain didn't cooperate, so they've had 2 days since that opening loss to Spain on day number 1, actually in game number 1 of this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. And there was a lot of emotion in that loss for South Africa. We talked with Andrew Berglund afterwards, and he said, you know, there are guys in that clubhouse who are a little bit teary-eyed right now because they're so frustrated. They felt like we had that game, and we let it slip away. South Africa was down 2-0 going to the top of the 7th. They scored 2 runs there to tie the game. Spain responded with 3 in the bottom half of the 7th, but South Africa scored 2 in the 9th and had the tying run in scoring position with 1 out, just unable to get the job done and get that thing tied. So this is really on both sides very much about rebounding from a tough loss first day out. Kyle Boyta, the catcher, a longtime stalwart with this program. 3-1 on him.
And you mentioned some of the emotion after that game 1. You're thinking to yourself, hey, look, it's 1 loss. You know, is there that much emotion tied to it? But, you know, knowing South Africa in this program and obviously some of the shutdowns from international competition in the last couple of years, these opportunities to be on this stage as a national program are few and far between. They really are. And there's such a push. There's so much motivation to get back to the World Baseball Classic in the month of March.
We're going to talk a lot about what they are building with this South Africa program and the attempt to really, like we discussed a lot with the Czech Republic, to really make a holistic, foundational type of national team program, not just something where South Africa every few years will be able to compete, but something where South Africa can constantly and consistently put teams in Youth World Cups and in the World Baseball Classic and everywhere else and have a fighting chance, as the 1-out walk for Kyle Boyta puts him on, and it brings up Tyler Smith, the shortstop.
And we saw this from Brian Flynn, the ex-big leaguer for Team Germany on the first game. And, you know, for Steve Janssen, the manager of the German team, he just wants to see his guys, his veterans, throw strikes.
What was that song?
I missed it.
We're going to have to...
I was too dialed into this game.
Oh, I get it, subtweet. First pitches away, Tyler Smith.
I will say, the soundtrack of this stadium is
amazing.
Legitimate. Going back to the 90s, I love it.
I've Shazammed like 5 songs. Like, I'm probably going to add that on Spotify over the next few days. There's Steve Janssen, the manager of this Germany team, the Belgian-born manager who has also managed for the Netherlands national team. He is one of the names across international baseball who has just done work pretty much everywhere you can find baseball and really has a lot of faith in this roster. 2-0 fouled back.
And already some good swings from South Africa. They look very comfortable with Marquez. You're talking about the velocity. They're not overwhelmed. Not a whole lot beating these bats. So they're in a good spot right now, that team from South Africa, waiting a long time with a rain delay to get to this stage.
2 balls and a strike on Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith in that opening game for South Africa got the nod in the 2-hole. He doubled to drive in both runs in the 9th. And unfortunately for the South Africa team, he was left aboard at second. don't know what that song is, but I might Shazam that between these next 2 pitches. Here's the 2-1 on the way from Marquez. Good looking pitch, and Smith takes it there to even the count. Dale Feltman, the DH, in the on-deck circle. Another one of the big bats in the heart of this lineup. 2-2, and Smith goes fishing, and he's gone on strikes. First strikeout of the afternoon for Marquez, and 2 gone now.
And this is a big out for the German team. All of a sudden, you get traffic all over the place. You want to get off to a start. You see the walk before this, and that's an off-speed pitch, a little slider in the middle of the plate to get a strikeout, nothing doing. We've seen this too from South Africa, having opportunities, leaving guys on in scoring position, with less than 2 out. Just trying to get that final blow.
So it brings up Feltman. Dale Feltman came on as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning in Friday's qualifier opener for South Africa, and he got things started for this team, worked a really good plate appearance and took a leadoff walk. Derek Bayless came on to pinch run for him, and now the runner breaking to the plate is out at home. Jonathan Phillips took off for third on the throw back to the mound. He wants this reviewed, and South Africa trying to steal a run literally here in the top of the first. Germany will stay out there as this will go to review.
And you see Jonathan Phillips, this is something he was paying attention to. Bruce Maxwell being a little tardy on the throw back. Thought he had enough time. I know it's going to be tough to overturn. Looks like Bruce Maxwell got the tag down. Plenty of time.
And that's always the question. Is there enough from video to be able to overturn a call like this?
Yeah, there's a throw back. You see Marquez again. This is something I think for the South African team. It's the first inning. You're just getting a little bit of that desperation. Victor Ngope bunts him over, and then all of a sudden you can't quite manufacture that run. You got 2 outs, so you're just trying to push the issue a little bit too much.
In the first inning, I feel like this is going to be a better look at it.
Wow. He timed that up well. I've got to give it to Jonathan Phillips, the captain of this team, being aggressive. Timed that up really well, but Marquez made a pretty good throw to get that out if the out stands.
And we talk about what a veteran Orval Marquez is. There was no panic in receiving that ball and getting it back to the plate, whereas I think a younger pitcher might kind of freak out and fumble in that circumstance.
Tyler, I always put myself in the shoes when I'm watching plays like that. I'm telling you right now, I probably would have airmailed that thing into the backstop. I'm telling you right now. I know what it was, man. Anytime there was that urgency throw on the second base or that short throw to home, I struggled with. So you're right, man. I mean, for his age too, 47 years old, picking up some of that athleticism, getting that throw out.
Ice in the veins. Our review process wrapping up, and home plate umpire Sam Birch, along with our first base umpire Tyler Jones, confirmed the out call, and that will do it for South Africa here in the first inning. A wild way to wrap up the top of the first, and we are headed to the bottom of the first. South Africa scoreless, and Germany coming up in game number 6 of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier from Regensburg. Starting lineup for the number 18 ranked national team program on the world stage. Germany will go with Demetrius Moorer in right field, stepping into the batter's box right now. Then it's the catcher Bruce Maxwell and the center fielder Aaron Altair, a couple of former big leaguers. Daniel Aldrich, the designated hitter, cleaning up. William Germain's at third. Lucas Dunn is at first. Marco Cardoso at second. Cody Schultz gets the start at short. And Kevin Katowski is in left field to round out the order, going against a really interesting arm on the other side, Ryan.
Yeah, Kieran Lovegrove. You go back to 2018. This guy was on the MLB Futures game at the All-Star game. He's having a really nice career in the minor leagues. Used to throw in the upper 90s, had plenty of velocity. Still has it. More in the low 90s, but this is a big arm for South Africa. We didn't see him in that first game. Didn't see him pitch, but good time for them to unleash some velocity against his German team.
You know, and it's interesting, too. South Africa got a really good effort from Justin Erasmus on day number 1. Being able to have somebody like this on day number 2, that gives you a lot of confidence, as the first potential out of the game will not be an out. The ball escapes into the dugout first base side on the throw from Lucas Dunn. That may have been more of a missed catch error by Kieran Lovegrove.
Yeah, and this is a tough break. Kieran Lovegrove, he is athletic. He is more of a two-way player. He can swing it. And so you're thinking to yourself, okay, some athleticism, but just takes his eye off that ball, and that's a huge break for Team Germany. And a tough situation for South Africa too. We have to keep an eye on these pitch counts. You want Kieran Lovegrove out there as long as you can as we get another look at it. But he gets over there in plenty of time. Nice play there from Brandon Boulier, but just takes his eye off the ball at that last second.
So that'll bring in Bruce Maxwell. Yeah, apologies. I was writing in my scorebook on the wrong side. Look down, said Lucas Dunn over at first. He is at first, but he's at first on the Germany side, as Bouillon will get another shot here. He'll wait in the underhand flip to Lovegrove covering. That moves Moorer aboard to third as Maxwell is retired. Right there, Brandon Bouillon's got the opportunity. He could have run to the bag there pretty easily. You think that's a deliberate choice to flip that to Lovegrove, like, we're all right? Which we had a little bit of a misplay on out number 1, but we're good.
Yeah, potentially. And I think, too, for Kieran Lovegrove, when you do make an error like that, you're still anchoring on that for that next at-bat against a tough Bruce Maxwell. So, you make a good point. I think just getting that done, you could see him sort of, communicating with each other, saying, hey, we're all good, looking at each other, we're fine. Kept his eye on that one, though, so Kieran Lovegrove put himself in a good spot.
The error goes charged to Brandon Bouillon, the first baseman. So with one gone, here is Aaron Altair, the former big leaguer. That straight up real tall stance in the right-handed batter's box, and he pounds one foul.
And these are the outs here. We're going to talk about this as this game goes on, but you got Bruce Maxwell, Altair right behind him. A couple former big leaguers, they can swing it. That's going to be Kieran Lovegrove's toughest assignment at the top of this lineup.
Lovegrove working with a man at third and one out. High heat there. Altair didn't chase it. Aaron Altair through the first game of this tournament. Just 0 for 1. He had 3 walks in his team's opener on Saturday night.
Yeah, he's not going to chase. And that's something with Kieran Lovegrove. You do have to attack in this situation.
2-2 just misses.
Now, you need those pitches. Like I said, when you're facing this part of the lineup for Kieran Lovegrove, you're able to execute a pitch inside the strike zone.
Lovegrove looked at our home plate umpire, Sam Birch, and he kind of motioned to ask, was that outside? Is that why that missed? Here comes the 3-2 to Altair. Got him on a called strike 3 with a fastball right down the heart of the plate. 2 gone.
And this is a good sign. When you are not scared to attack, pretty much the biggest threat in this lineup, you go straight fastball, sinking fastball, catch the outside part of the plate, especially right after you miss a pitch that you execute. That's a good sign for Kieran Lovegrove and the South African team.
Big second out, and here is Danielle Aldrich, the designated hitter out of the cleanup spot. So each team with a runner to third with 1 out. South Africa stranded a man aboard. had that runner from third thrown out at the plate, attempting to swipe home. Let's see if Germany can cash in. 2 balls and no strikes. Defensively for South Africa, it's Tyrone Milne in left field, Benji Smith in center, who nearly had the most spectacular catch you will ever see on day number 1 of this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. Jason Carlsa is in right. Jonathan Phillips and Tyler Smith left side. Victor Angope, Brandon Bouillon right side. And the veteran Kyle Boita behind the plate.
Aldridge with a couple strikeouts the first game. Got the hit, slid up into that 4th spot in the lineup.
2-1. Count even. It's a chilly morning, but it's a dry morning, which is the most important thing from the last few days here in Regensburg. Last night we got our first game in. Looked like we were set to go for game number 2, and then all of a sudden the weather picture changed and ended up being rained out for the second game of a scheduled Sunday doubleheader. So here we are on a Monday afternoon, 2-2. Swung on and missed, and a big rebound there from Kieran Lovegrove.
And we've talked about the velocity from Kieran Lovegrove. Low to mid-90s. Here's a changeup. It's a good pitch, 3-2. Look at that. Nothing doing on that.
Headed to the top of the second, scoreless in Regensburg. Top half of the second inning, South Africa will send 5, 6, and 7 to the batter's box. The man who was at the plate when the first inning ended, Dale Feltman, is back in there, and he gets to reset the count and goes to 0-1 on him on a first pitch strike from Enorbo Marquez. Marquez, as we noted, 47 years old. He was born in Palma Soriano, Cuba. He pitched 3 seasons at home in the Serie Nacional before moving abroad. He has spent the bulk of his adult life here in Germany, but he's also spent some time pitching professionally in Italy. He's got a fascinating baseball reference page. 3 seasons with Santiago de Cuba from 2000 to 2003. He surfaced for 1 Dominican Winter League season, pitched in 7 games for Licey. That was 2008-09. Didn't see him again until 2010. He pitched until 2013 with Rimini in the Italian Baseball League. And then a 5-year break, and he was back with Rimini in 2018. But over that time, he's been mostly in Germany.
Just couldn't get enough. He missed it. Missed pitching professionally. It does.
Nobody knows that better than you.
It's inspiring. I need to get back out there. I've got a couple of years left in me.
47. You got like another decade.
Of course. Yeah.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Feltman.
I'll tell you what, some of these some of the drama already in the first inning. I think for South Africa, you want to try and put a couple across early. You don't want Marquez, who's been around.
Feltman, big drive to left. Back on it is Katowski, is gone! Dale Feltman gets South Africa on the board, a 1-0 lead in the second.
And right on cue, I was just trying to get a sentence out talking about South Africa needs to jump on Marquez early. You don't want him getting comfortable with that changeup and that breaking ball. South Africa threatened in the first inning. Then he gets a pitch up in the strike zone. Absolutely crushes it. South Africa on the board.
Going yard on a full count. That is a great at-bat from Dale Feltman. And it brings up Benji Smith. Benji Smith, 3 nights ago, nearly made an indescribably spectacular catch, which would have been the last out of the 7th inning with no runs across for Spain in a 2-2 game. He was shaded over toward left center field. Ball came off the bat of Jesus Ustariz, the first baseman and the cleanup hitter. Smith pursued it all the way to the gap in right center, full-on extension dive, and with every inch of his frame into that effort, it glanced off the tips of the fingers of his glove, ricocheted out into right center, brought home the go-ahead run, kicked off a 3-run frame. That was the difference for South Africa. He'll take a 4-pitch walk here after the homer.
Yeah, that would have been a game changer if he was able to trap that ball in center field. Could have seen Spain playing right now instead. You know what? You're here. You're all good. You're in good shape. You're swinging the bats. You're seeing the ball well.
We're going to visit the pitcher's mound here from Troy Williams, the pitching coach for Germany, a New York Yankees regional scout in Europe.
Yeah, we talked about this too right before the big blast, but when you're a guy, you're a veteran pitcher, obviously he's 47 years old, you throw that changeup and that curveball. If you start to get in a rhythm, all of a sudden you can start throwing those 3 pitches. You can start putting these bats to sleep. So it's important for South Africa to stay aggressive early in counts and keep getting after those pitches they see up in the strike zone.
Let me ask you this question. Last night, we're all geared up for this game. Good crowd in the house, elimination matchup. You build up the adrenaline as a player, and teams didn't get to the point where they were full, in the dugout and set and lined up and ready, and then we went into a delay. But they were out, and they had thrown and stretched and run a little bit. How do you manage the come down from that and then ramping back up not even 24 hours later?
I don't think it's too hard, and we talked about this in the first inning. Look, South Africa, the opportunities to be on this stage are few and far between. They've been even tougher too, obviously with the pandemic, and they had that trip to Tucson. Then that all got washed away, obviously, when everything got shut down. So I think in that situation, when you come to the ballpark, you're getting amped up, and it's more than just adrenaline too. There's so much emotion attached, and we've heard from representatives from South Africa what they're trying to do in South Africa when it comes to baseball and growing the game, from the youth level all the way up. So there's so much tied to this one game and this one event. So I don't think it's hard. You come here on a Monday, middle of the day, the weather's not great. It's kind of chilly. It doesn't matter. You will not get in the way of some of that emotion you feel.
Runner off. That pitch in the dirt. Throw down to second by Maxwell is high. And a stolen base for Benji Smith. There are a few reps from that South Africa squad who are out beyond the wall and left searching for Dale Feltman's home run ball, which that thing snuck over the fence, and I don't think it got to, there's kind of a gravel drive back there. I think it died just before that over the sign and left, just to the left of the video board. Surrounded search. Man, I hit a home run on the World Baseball Classic. I want that ball.
For sure.
I think those guys.
There's a Sprinter van out there. I saw some guys scrambling from the van, maybe trying to grab that souvenir. I don't know.
2 balls and a strike on Tyrone Milne. And Norbel Marquez deals the 3-1 and gets it grounded over to third. William Germain gets the out. First one gone.
You've seen a lot of these counts too. 2-1s, 3-1s. Deeper counts for Marquez. Good fastball counts for the South African team. To jump on something, be aggressive.
And that's going to do it for the veteran Enorbel Marquez. He gets the last out of his day against Tyrone Milne, and Germany is going to have to go to the bullpen pretty early on in this one through just an inning and a third. We'll step aside, tell you about the new German arm when we return. 1-0 South Africa in the second.
New pitcher on the mound, Kit Sheets, the lefty, low 3/4, big breaking ball. Got some velocity too. It's got a tough assignment coming in early. It's one thing about these international games. You got to be ready to roll. You can't be just cruising down that bullpen, relaxing. You got to be ready to roll. Inning number 1. Every inning counts.
So just 1 1/3 today for Enorbel Marquez, who is still responsible for Benji Smith out at second. Gave up the homer to Dale Feltman. I was just going to say, we're going to need an update as to whether or not they have located Dale Feltman's home run ball. And good breaking news to report. They did. So Dale Feltman will get that. Get to travel back home with his big blast from game number 6 of this World Baseball Classic Qualifiers. Brandon Bouillon, the first baseman, takes that one for ball 2.
Yeah, if you lose this game, are you still keeping that home run ball? What do you think?
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
Give it to your kids.
Yeah.
If you go into the WBC and win the whole thing, you put that thing under lights, up on the mantle.
Absolutely. I was going to say, but this is coming from a guy who's
Germany 1-0.
Whose Olympic silver medal is in a drawer at his mom's house, like 8,000 miles away from where he lives. There it is. We've got the home run ball located. This is fantastic journalism. That's amazing. That's great work. For Dale Feltman, that's a pretty cool moment. I mean, he flew around first base, pumping his fist, and that dugout exploded. And I would think time just speeds up. I mean, we talked to Adam Jones about his catch against the Dominican Republic in San Diego, and he said, I caught that ball. I thought to myself, did I catch this? As we take another look at that offering in tight on Brandon Bouillon and pulled the bunt back. And Adam Jones said, and then I just blacked out for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened. Kit Sheets, the new arm into the game for Germany. Kicks and deals.
Yeah, we asked him about, did you notice some of the reaction? Obviously, Manny Machado just tipping the helmet. Clippard on the mound going absolutely crazy. He said, well, yeah, on the replay. That's about it.
Kit Sheets spent the past season in a few different stops around independent baseball, most recently in the Mexican League. He pitched for the Guerreros of Oaxaca and the Mariachis of Guadalajara. Also spent some time with the Charleston Dirty Birds in the U.S. state of West Virginia. Not to be confused with the Charleston River Dogs, who are in the U.S. state of South Carolina. They're an affiliated club. 3-2 in tight for ball 4.
Man, good at bat. Wow. Really good at bat. Couple big sliders, big breaking balls he laid off. Sweeping breaking balls. Here's another one, 3-2. This looks really hittable. You can see that pitch all the way. He's fouling off some tough pitches, some fastballs up in the strike zone. Just keep making a dent in this German pitching staff.
So now a big spot for Jason Carlson out of the 9 hole. 1 out, 2 on. Big gap out there in left center for him. Kevin Katowski is playing deep and straight away in left, and Aaron Altair is shaded toward right center. There you see Benji Smith at second base. His walk followed the homer by Feltman. 0-1 on Carlson. Sheets from the third base side of the rubber. Puts the count even.
You know, another reason why that at-bat is so significant right there is because when you're Sheets, you come into a game, you come in early into a game, and your big weapon is that big breaking ball, right? So you want to see some bad swings right away. Your confidence goes through the roof. The minute you start to see guys just seeing that from a mile away, laying off that pitch, it just makes it so much tougher to get into a rhythm and to get confidence with that pitch in big situations. He's going to have some of the, obviously I know it's a second inning, but man, runs early come at a premium. So you want to get that feeling of that secondary pitch. You want to get it early. So it makes it tough when you're watching a guy just laying off your best weapon.
Ball and 2 strikes now on Carlson. Here it comes. And Carlson all tied up.
And that's what I'm talking about too. Again, that big breaking ball. It's tough. Get a big strikeout here. Trying to put a roadblock on that momentum from South Africa. When you get that pitch across, I'm telling you right now, your confidence can shoot up real quick.
You know, on the one hand, for South Africa, you obviously feel great. You get the leadoff homer, and you've got the 1-0 lead. On the other hand, you got a runner to third with 1 out last inning. Had first and third with 1 out. Didn't get anybody home. Now you're in danger of leaving 2 on here in the second. And that was some of the storyline against Spain a few days ago, was the amount of opportunities that South Africa did not get cashed in. Those guys want to see the momentum stopped.
And I want to see Tyler Mon in one of those hats.
You know, I went downstairs, I was running to the bathroom, and one of those guys came around the corner, and I went, geez, Louise. The Viking horns and the braids. But yeah, I got a few of those hats.
Kid Sheets right now in a good spot, 0-2. He's got that breaking ball working. Fastball's working now.
There's a souvenir.
This time a fastball. Jonathan Phillips. Emergency swing.
Phillips doubled down the left field line to lead off this game last inning. Here comes Sheets' 0-2. And he'll try to do it again, but he pulls that one foul.
Got away with one right there. It's a mistake, that big slider of his. That's that pitch you want to start in the zone and then make that right turn right to that back foot of Jonathan Phillips.
Gotta love a dude like Jonathan Phillips. It's the top of the second inning and his pants are already just slathered in dirt. The guy who's getting after it early. Sheets from the stretch, 0-2.
Yeah, he really embodies what this South African team's all about. You know, we got a chance to talk to him on that first day. He's one of 3 players who have played for the South African team. Anthony Phillips played a lot of professional baseball with the Seattle Mariners, the Angels. Unfortunately couldn't come. They're missing some key players too. We talked about that on the first day. There's a good 4 or 5 guys they're missing who are key players. Obviously, Gift and Gope, the first South African big leaguer, not here. Couldn't come, couldn't join the team. It's a big loss.
1-2 coming to Phillips. 2-2. Yeah, Dylan Unsworth unable to be here.
It's always the case, though. You're never really going to be at full strength. And if you are, it's rare to have all your guys available.
Taylor Scott, former big leaguer with a few different teams. He's also pitched in Japan, currently in the Philadelphia Phillies organization. You know, I looked up Kieran Lovegrove, South Africa's starting pitcher for today. Came across his Instagram, and he posted a picture from the airport leaving to come here to Germany, and he had the South Africa bag with the flag on the front, and the first comment was Taylor Scott saying, "I got to get one of those bags." And Kieran Lovegrove said, "Well, if we make it through, you just got to get one next time around in March.
Right.
Got to join this team." 2-2. Easily playable over at first. Lucas Dunn makes the grab, and that'll retire the side here in the second. But the leadoff homer by Dale Feltman gets South Africa into the lead, 1-0. Starting defensive alignment for South Africa behind Kieran Lovegrove looks like this. Tyrone Milne in left field, Benji Smith in center, Jason Carlsa in right, Jonathan Phillips at third, and Tyler Smith at short. Victor Ngope is at second base, and Brandon Bouillon is at first. Kyle Boyta behind the plate, and Kieran Lovegrove through inning number 1, having allowed just one base runner on an error. Goes to work here against the 5-hole hitter, William Germain. First pitch swung on and missed.
Now the rain's all of a sudden a factor. We thought, man, we thought we were going to luck out with some sun.
Yeah.
Not the case.
What happened here? There is like one little pocket of blue sky out beyond center field. And I mean, it's northern European weather, so we'll have patchy clouds throughout most of the day, but hopefully the rain will start moving out. Germany's big supporter group over on that first base side. Bounce it right back to Lovegrove, who in a self-preservation move just stuck the glove out, makes the play.
Tell you what, since making that error in the first inning, he's got plenty of opportunities to make up for it. It's a nice little play too. Not surprising. Let's not forget there's rain involved. Able to stay with that ball, just run it over. Easy play. Let's not forget too, you see the rain starting to come down. I know it's not going to get really heavy, but you know what? If you can sneak a couple runs across, then you get to that 5th inning. This game is official. They decide they need to cancel it or end play. I don't know what the rules are. If they're going to suspend the game for the home country, or they say, look, this game's official. We can't continue.
It's a good question.
Go find out for me, Will.
Yeah, I'm going to duck out.
Thanks.
Right now. You can handle the play-by-play. We'll get Jeremy Guthrie back up here.
Yeah.
You could do that pretty easy. No balls and a strike on Lucas Dunn. 0-1 lined into center, down for a base hit. So the first knock of the day for Germany is a one-out single by the first baseman, Lucas Dunn.
We saw plenty of singles. Not a whole lot of extra base hits from this German team. You know they do have some power in the middle of that lineup. But a ton of singles. Trying to get something going against this man, Kieran Lovegrove. Now, we talk about, too, being on this stage. We're talking about making a comeback, but sometimes you get exposed to not only U.S. scouts. I mean, we've talked about some of the names that have come out of the World Baseball Classic and either resurrected their career or, you know, really been in this spotlight and been discovered from the World Baseball Classic. You look at Kieran Lovegrove, look, he's still young. He's still got plenty of juice in that arm as well. His situation, you know what? Get himself a job out of this.
Foul down the line. Marco Cardoso out of the 7th spot.
You see that happen too from some of these foreign countries. I know with a lot of Australian players and South African as well. I mean, he was on the upward trajectory with his career. We talked about the Futures game, MLB All-Star game, attending that and representing the world team.
Line to first, and Gope with the play. Wow. Double play. What a job by Victor Ngope to end the inning.
I'll tell you what, Victor Ngope has been a huge factor for this South African team. Not only in the loss, he got the guys back in striking distance. But, man, what a play. Quick turn. Didn't have a whole lot of time, and he was fired up. We head to the top of the third, South Africa and the host nation, Germany, right here in Regensburg. Let's look at that German defense. You've got Kevin Katowski, Aaron Altair, Demetrius Moyer making up the outfield. William Germain, Cody Schultz, Marcus Cardoso, Lucas Dunn, and the big leaguer, Bruce Maxwell, behind the plate. Kid Sheets taking on his second inning. And I'll tell you what, this man right here, Victor Ngope, what a play. He has been right in the thick of it for South Africa this entire tournament. Even in the loss the other day to Team Spain, man, he was instrumental. Hopefully some of that momentum goes into this at-bat. And then we've talked about this a few times. Gift Ngope missing from this roster. Huge loss for the South African team. He would have been right in the middle of that lineup with that power bat. Matter of fact, Tyler, took us deep, and he had us on the ropes at the last qualifier in Sydney, 2016. I remember it was February, trying to get back to the World Baseball Classic. Australia had to qualify because we didn't win a game in the last WBC. Here's a fastball up in the strike zone, blowing his doors off with some velocity, but Gift and Gope hit a home run, and all of a sudden we were starting to, it was a nail biter. We're like, man, we may not get back to the WBC, but we came back and were able to score some runs and secure it.
Andrew Berglund, who's the manager for South Africa, he remembered pretty well.
He did.
You introduced yourself. Brian Rowland-Smith, he said, yeah, I know.
I pitched against South Africa, I remember, in that qualifier. That was a lot of fun. In Sydney, it was fun. Bringing some World Baseball Classic to home soil for us.
1 ball and no strikes on Kyle Boita, the 3-hole hitting catcher. South Africa's been in 2 full editions of the WBC, 2006, 2009, but has not come out of the qualifying round since these were instituted for the 2013 and 17 editions. Final line on the day for Enormo Marquez. Inning in a third, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Faced 7 men, 36 pitches, just 15 strikes. Part of his issue today. (3-1) from Kit Sheets. There for a strike to Boita.
German manager Jensen wasting no time with that hook. Short leash, Marquez. Looked like he's starting to get in a little bit of a rhythm, but South Africa didn't allow it.
Good breaking pitch for strike 3.
Yeah, it really was. That's his bread and butter. You can see the fastball up to Victor and Gope in the second punch out of this inning. A little backdoor breaking ball.
An underrated great moment in sports. Just a singular thing that happens in a sporting. Everybody wants to hit a walk-off home run. You drain a 3 from the corner in the NBA. A good K walk has got to feel amazing. Like, you break off a pitch, you know you're going to get a called strike 3, and you just start that strut. Oh, yeah. That's got to feel amazing.
That's the best. Yeah, stick that chest out, you know what I mean? Like, you own the place.
I'm the man.
I'll tell you what, who had the best walk after a K. I got a chance to play with him for 4 years. King Felix Hernandez. Oh, man. It took 45 minutes for him to get back on the mound after that. He did a lap of the stadium.
Shaking hands, saying hi to folks.
Yeah, good times. In T-Mobile Park, you had King's Corner down there in left field. All the yellow Ks, everyone going nuts. But, yeah, that's strut, man. I mean, some of the guys do it well.
1-1 back into the screen from Tyler Smith, 1-2. Tyler Smith, the strikeout victim in the first against Marquez. Kit Sheets trying to retire the side in order for the first time today for Germany. One-two. Nope. That won't do it.
Man, we've seen this a lot the last couple days. Get to 2 strikes, and that breaking ball drilling someone. Obviously not on purpose. Just trying to make that pitch too big. You know, you get that feel for that breaking ball. You're starting to have a little fun with that pitch. Then you try and make it a little bigger, and all of a sudden gets out the side of your hand, and sure enough, we have a base runner.
If you're going to get hit by a pitch, that's the one you would like to. But, yeah, we even made the comment yesterday, like, wow, we've seen this 5 or 6 times. Normally, as soon as you acknowledge something like that, you don't see it again. But that's the same scenario, a 2-strike count. And a hitter getting plunked. And now you bring in the guy who belted the leadoff homer last inning to give South Africa the 1-0 lead, in Dale Feltman. Feltman, one of the catchers on this roster. He hails from Cape Town.
One of the veteran players. This one over there during the workouts, messing with some of his teammates. As one of the leaders on this team.
31 years old, Dale Feltman. Ropes this one out over the head of a leaping Marco Cardozo. That's going to be an easy 1st to 3rd track for Tyler Smith. He'll be held there. And it's runners at the corners with 2 out for South Africa in the third.
This is a good piece of hitting. Gets a pitch to handle. Doesn't try and do a whole lot with it. Just kind of throws his hands out there. Inside out swing. Peppers into right field, right center field. That's that spot. We've seen that the last couple of days. You get that ball up in the air, that's like wind tunnel. Ball just keeps flying. Something happening again with South Africa after 2 quick strikeouts.
All 3 innings so far today, they've had 2 men on simultaneously. Had first and third, 1 out in the first. First and second, 2 outs in the second. Now they're at first and third with 2 gone here in the third.
Yeah, sometimes too, I know it's a third inning, but we've talked a lot about this being an elimination game, and I've said it over and over. Team Germany and Team South Africa, you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to be at these events. You just don't, especially the last couple of years. But you have to sort of remove yourself from that and just be in the moment.
Sheets, kicks, and deals, and a bouncing ball out too short. An easy play there for Cody Schultz, who goes the short route to retire the side, and that'll do it for South Africa, which strands a pair yet again. We head to the bottom of the third inning, though. South Africa with a 1-0 lead. They've been playing baseball in Germany since the mid-1930s, when the Berlin Olympic Games featured a couple of U.S. teams playing in an exhibition contest. The sport was reintroduced after World War II. German youth activities really helped popularize baseball, and the Bundesliga, the current baseball and softball association, 16 teams in those circuits. Dave Janssen's squad here in 2022 on home soil. Germany also took part in the 2013 and 2017 World Baseball Classic Qualifiers as Kieran Lovegrove kicks and deals and puts in a first pitch strike to Cody Schultz to get things started here in the bottom of the third.
And just trying to become relevant again as one of the best teams in the world by going to that World Baseball Classic.
0-1. Schultz with a drive to right center, and that'll get down and past Benji Smith, but Jason Carlson there to back up a leadoff single.
All of a sudden, the German team threatening again. Another leadoff single. Benji Smith, he thought about it too on that play. He kind of hesitated, backed up. You don't want to let that ball get by you, but it's so soggy out there. There's a bit of rain. You can see the ball just kind of dying. So your right fielder, Carlsbach, can get over there. Carlson, excuse me, can get over there and back it up. It's one of those hesitating plays like, man, is this ball going to run past me here if I try and make a dive for it, but not doing in this weather.
Talking about the history of baseball in Germany, we told you the other day about the exhibition game between a couple of U.S. teams as a demonstration sport for the 1936 Olympics, but it was really after World War II that baseball started to become popular in Germany. And the story that I love more than even that exhibition, as this bunt down third base and a play on the lead runner, Jonathan Phillips fires it to Tyler Smith to get Cody Schultz on a 5-6 putout, and Kevin Katowski will reach.
Man, if you can get an early lead and then play defense just like that, taking care of those lead runners, Jonathan Phillips, you could see how fired up. Now, again, this is 1 out in the 3rd inning, but you cut down that leadoff runner in a situation like this, man, good things happen. And all of a sudden, Germany felt like they were going to get some momentum in this inning. All of a sudden, the wind's out of those sails. We didn't see that too that first day. We saw some mishaps happening defensively and what that cost you. I'll tell you what, South Africa, man, they're all cylinders right now firing early in this game.
You know, and this is so important for South Africa because that team shows up to everything. They're in the U12 World Cup. They're in the U15 World Cup. They're in U18s, U23s. And generally, they have kind of struggled on the international stage. And it's so often explained to us as it's because of the fact that they just don't get to play enough. And that's one big emphasis now for South African baseball, for Baseball South Africa, the governing body. Kyle Boita stepped out to look at the runner at first, and he bumped into Demetrius Moorer, and then they just kind of hugged each other, patted each other on the back. 1-1 here on Moorer.
Sportsmanship, we're good.
They very much want to expand the activity calendar for young baseball and softball players in South Africa, because right now they're just not playing a lot. And you get to the world stage, and talked about this yesterday with that France team, we so often see that the lesser developed baseball countries, the countries that don't play as much, by the end of events when they're playing against the world's best, they're right there with them. It's the start of events when they struggle. And I remember talking a couple of weeks ago to some members of the U15 coaching staff for South Africa, and they said, yeah, historically, we just get crushed the first few days of tournaments. But by the end of it, our players adapt really well. And that's always the case. And for South Africa, a win, a berth in the World Baseball Classic would be so massive to generate that interest, the publicity, and shed a light on just what a foundation they're building there.
For sure, and I think it comes down to recruiting players. Obviously, you have those baseball families that generations of them, they play at the same club. We heard about that from some of the South African representatives the last 2 days when we're doing our research on the baseball scene in South Africa. But you want to recruit those young players, whether it's 12U or even the 15-year-olds, away from rugby, cricket, field hockey even, the big sports in South Africa. And it's a challenge. And it's something you have to do. The way you pull them away from those sports and start recruiting is to get to the World Baseball Classic. You see a Kieran Lovegrove up against Mike Trout 60 feet away in that first round against the best players. All of a sudden, if I'm a 12-year-old kid, man, I want to be just like Kieran Lovegrove. I want to be just like Justin Erasmus because they're playing against the world's best. I think that's a huge part of this. And we spoke to members from South Africa talking about just the strategy and the developmental role and how this group of guys have been in contact for the last 6 months over Zoom sessions, making sure they get their workouts in around their regular jobs and everything that goes with that. So crucial.
There was a play that went viral during the U12 Baseball World Cup, so runners off, and that one will be ball four to Demetrius Moorer, who thought he had ball four on the previous pitch. But a South Africa player at U12 is Bruce Maxwell will step in.
We're starting to see Kieran Lovegrove start to labor a little bit, deeper counts. He's at 32 pitches right now, so fatigue could be part of that. We talked about this South African team getting enough reps, enough games, enough training in leading up to this, and sometimes that stamina as a pitcher can start to lean on you a little bit, especially if you're out of professional baseball. Now he's got Bruce Maxwell, big part, big threat in this lineup. This is a big spot right here in the third inning.
Maxwell takes a cut, fouls that one off the glove of Boita. There was a line drive, a South African hitter roped out to short. A Chinese Taipei player made a diving catch, and at first base, the young guy who got robbed just thought it was the most amazing play, and he tipped his cap, big smile, ran off the field, was talking to his teammates about, "Did you see that catch?" And
that's it's all about.
That got a lot of attention in South Africa. Grounder over to first. No chance of the lead runners, and Bouillon will take it to the bag to retire Maxwell. So productive out. Now it's second and third with 2 gone.
That's a big out too. Yeah, you got Bruce Maxwell. You need to get him out. Former big league, and now you got Altair up with runners in scoring position, but you got 2 outs. Therefore, you have the open base. I think a situation like this right now, you go after him. If you can sneak ahead in the count, you'll see right here, Kieran Lovegrove. If he can sneak into a good pitcher's count, he'll go after him. Otherwise, you could pitch around him, give him that open base.
Aaron Altair struck out looking in the first inning. First of back-to-back strikeouts to end that inning for Kieran Lovegrove, who's trying to wriggle out of trouble here in the third and pours in a first pitch strike on the fastball. That had some good zip to it.
Yeah, good velocity, good movement too.
Man, you
just that run to it.
Size of Aaron Altair. I mean, Kyle Boita is not a small dude, and standing next to Aaron Altair really gives you an idea of the profile he cuts in that batter's box. 1-1. But South Africa getting some notoriety from that play and getting some eyeballs on this program. That's what this team wants.
Absolutely, especially at the highest level against MLB superstars, making a lot of money. Good changeup, man. Those 1-1 counts, they are crucial. Doesn't matter if you're in the big leagues, if you're here, even 12U.
Yep.
Man, 1-1, you go 2-1, yeah, you're in a little bit of trouble. Then you're going to have to pitch around. You go 1-2, now all of a sudden you got some options. You see that split finger grip in Kieran Lovegrove's hand? That's that pitch. It's been a weapon. Let's see if he goes back-to-back with it.
1-2. Big strikeout. And Kieran Lovegrove out of the jam in the third.
And this is that split finger. He's got a good feel for it. Man, Altair. It's a good pitch right here. Look at that.
Bottom drops out of that one to cut down Aaron Altair. We're headed to the fourth. South Africa with a 1-0 lead. We got a heck of a good baseball game underway here as we move into the top of the fourth inning in Regensburg. 1-0 is our score. South Africa with a run on a leadoff homer by Dale Feltman in the top of the second. Standing up right now, but they've got 5 left on base through their first 3 innings. 3 left on base on the other side for Germany, so some missed opportunities on each side. And the first offering of this top half of the fourth inning from Keith Schitz into the leadoff man. Tyrone Milne is there for strike 1. Kit Sheets out of Hartford, Connecticut. As we said, he played last year in the Mexican League, and he'll put a man aboard.
Here's that slider, that back foot, just too much. Getting that shin of Milne. Tell you what, Kit Sheets has been in a nice little rhythm. See Bruce Maxwell former Oakland Athletic for 3 years. Trying to find his way back to the big leagues.
Second player hit by a pitch and over at first. Tyrone Milne just making sure that he's all right. One thing that I love seeing on the international side, we haven't seen it yet in this tournament, but so often the training staffs will carry that spray, you know, you see in international soccer or other sports, that
the magic spray,
the freezing magic spray. And, you know, we'll see players at U15s, U18s, for example, just get drilled by a fastball, and a guy hustles out there and just sprays him down real quick and turns around and runs back. How well does that work?
Honestly, like, you can feel it. Yeah, I mean, obviously when the spray hits, it's a bit of cold spray, I guess, but, you know.
1-0 out to short, maybe a chance at 2. Schultz to the bag, Cardozo to turn it, and not in time to get Brandon Bouillon over at first.
Bouillon hustling, routine ground ball to shortstop. It's important. Every base run counts. Hustling hard out of the box. This situation doesn't run real well, but right away picks up. It's like, yeah, I need to get moving.
Rain has started again here in Regensburg, and you know, we're obviously on day 4 now. We've all very much settled into the mindset that we're just going to deal with this off and on through the entirety of this qualifier. But man, again, it just gives us the opportunity to shout out Murray Cook and his entire crew here. The field staff at Armin Wolf Baseball Arena here in Regensburg has done incredible work. They are north of 15 tarp pulls now through 4 days. And, you know, for anybody who's ever pulled a tarp, it's not the most enjoyable experience, let's say. But Murray Cook is a legend in the game of baseball. And his crew from all corners of the globe, they have done such an awesome job getting and keeping this field ready for play. Next tarp pull, you're going down there, I heard.
100%.
Yeah. They're, and you're going to do the work. They're letting like 4 people take the next one off, and you have to do all their work.
Yeah, they need some muscle. They need, you know. I just don't want my hair to get wet, you know. It's going to ruin this broadcast.
I will say there are several times this week that I've looked at your hair and thought, like, man, it's a good head of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That ball in play left side. Another chance at 2, and this time Germany is able to turn it around the horn. 5-4-3. Jason Carlson bounces into the inning-ending double play. We move into the bottom of the 4th inning. South Africa with a 1-0 lead over Germany in game number 6 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier from Regensburg. Bottom of the 4th inning, leadoff man for Germany is the designated hitter Danielle Aldrich, who will step into the batter's box to face Kieran Lovegrove, who kicks and deals his first pitch and 40th of the day and gets a swing and a miss for strike 1. We talked about how Kieran Lovegrove was selected to participate in the 2018 MLB All-Star Futures game. And for Kieran Lovegrove, he told the story that when he was called into his manager, he's at AA Akron at the time, he was called into his manager's office and got told, "You're going to the Futures game." And he thought, okay, that's cool. And then he said his next thought was, oh, that Futures game. Oh, that's a big deal. And then he said his next thought was, wait, which team am I playing for? Because he's got dual citizenship.
Right.
Born in South Africa, moved to California as a kid, and he had to go back in and figure out, like, am I on the World team or the U.S. team? Which now they've returned to the American League versus National League format, but it was formerly World players versus U.S. players, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For Kieran Lovegrove.
Yeah, good experience. I've had some friends when I was coming up through the minor leagues get a chance to play in that on the U.S. side and on the World side, and they said it's great, man. You think about it. You're in, let's say you're in A-ball, you're in AA. Obviously, minor league lifestyle's very different. And all of a sudden, you get a chance to go to the MLB All-Star game, and you get those uniforms, you get the VIP treatment.
2-2, shot past Ngope and on into right field. Carlson cuts it off, but it's a leadoff single for Aldrich out of the cleanup spot.
And Aldrich, who's moved up in the order from the first game, puts a charge into that. Victor, no chance. Ngope, no chance getting that ball. And for Kieran Lovegrove, too, this is interesting. He's at 44 pitches right now. If he goes beyond 50, he's going to be pretty much done, unavailable to pitch if South Africa is to go through. Now, if he was to go, let's say he throws 49 pitches, well, he can come back with Justin Erasmus on that last day if they get there. But I think for the South African team and Andrew Berglund, I think you keep rolling with a hot hand in this situation.
That is kind of the gamble right now because you want your best arms available, but also you can't save them because there's no guarantee you're going to be playing on Wednesday.
That's why depth in these tournaments is so important. We've talked about those top flight pitchers. There's always 2 or 3 with each team, but it comes down to that depth for some of these countries, non-baseball countries.
Big swing and miss by William Germain. Count as 1-1 on him.
We saw that with the French team. You know, we even saw this with his German team a couple days ago.
William Germain does not get cheated on swings, I'll tell you that. He is a big load and hack. I'll take that one for a ball.
And if he gets this far too, Kieran Lovegrove hits 85 pitches, that's the limit. You have to finish that batter, and then you are done. That's that good split, just missing. Tough pitch. Another thing that pitch does as well, when you throw it early enough in these games, we see this even at the major league level, kind of sends that ripple effect through your lineup. The hitter goes back in, Jermaine will walk back in and be like, man, that split, it's a good pitch.
And off the hands to center, a dive, and Smith can't come up with it. He is able to keep it in front, but it's back-to-back singles to get things going in the 4th.
And Benji Smith, talk about some of the defense from him. Nearly coming up with that catch a couple days ago. See him leaping out, trying to make this catch, knowing that your right fielder is right behind you, so that ball's not going to trickle all the way to the wall. Plus, you have the wet outfield. Now, all of a sudden, Germany's got some action.
Germany left a runner on in the 1st and 2 in the 3rd. Leadoff single in each of the last 2 innings. Now they got back-to-back base hits here as Jonathan Phillips calls out the bunt defense to his infield. Phillips will play even with the bag over at 3rd, and here is Lucas Dunn. Not to be confused with Lucas Dune, because his last name is pronounced Dunn, as his mom confirmed to our production team last night. And he pops the bunt up over to 3rd, and an easy play for Jonathan Phillips, 1 down.
Now, huge break for this South African team. We talk about obviously playing manufacturing runs, playing small ball. You have to, in these style games, you have to be able to get the bunt down. For Kieran Lovegrove, that pitch up above the barrel. Big out right there for South Africa.
And now Marco Cardoso's turn. Cardoso from Paderborn here in Germany. He plays his Bundesliga ball for the Stuttgart Reds.
Germany trying to give this crowd something to celebrate here in the fourth.
Foul ground, first base side. Bouillon giving chase, and that's off the netting. That was kind of tricky over there because on the first base side, talk about that in a minute.
Now, we talked about the pitch limitations and some of the strategies that goes into it. Look at it. If a pitcher throws 30-plus pitches, he must rest for that one day. So, therefore, Kieran Lovegrove, in the situation, he's already beyond 50. That doesn't count for him. If a pitcher throws 50-plus, he must rest for at least 4 days. So, Kieran Lovegrove, this will be his last outing. A pitcher cannot throw more than 85 pitches in an outing. So, I think for Kieran Lovegrove, this will be his final time on the mound. So, they're going to go all in. See how deep he can get in this game.
And not only that, but as a pitcher, you're doing everything possible to try to ensure that you've got the opportunity to pitch again in March.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, look, we've talked about this a lot. When you're not playing affiliated baseball or professional baseball and getting those constant reps and that routine and that regular games, the stamina issue becomes a big part of it. I've been on teams where we've had some good arms, but look, they're not playing affiliated baseball, so they have to try and get in shape the best they can to continue to have some of that stamina when you go on 3 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings. You just don't get that at club level or throwing bullpens.
Lovegrove ahead. 1-2 pitch to Cardoso. Line back up the middle. That's into center field for a base hit. Aldrich had to start going back. So he'll advance one station, but the bases are loaded with 1 out as Germany threatens here big time in the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, and you can see Aldridge, the frustration. Tell you what, South Africa got another break right here. You can see Aldridge in this shot going back to the base in case the line drive goes to the shortstop in Cody Schultz. Excuse me, for Tyler Smith. You can see the frustration, man. You need those breaks, those base hits. You need to score from second base. And Kieran Lovegrove's in a tight spot, 1 out. You can see the bullpen starting to move around for South Africa.
The hide-aheads in attendance. You saw that group shot of the fans behind the plate over on the first base side. They got the player head cutouts. Those are the hide-aheads from Heidenkopf, Heidenheim Heidenkopf. Here to support their team. It's tough for Germany because last night we were expecting a big crowd, and the rain forced us to postpone last night's game to today. And it's a work day here in Germany, so not quite as many people able to attend for this afternoon's matchup, but Germany right now trying to do everything possible to ensure that their fans will have another opportunity to see them. First pitch to Cody Schultz, down and in, ball 1.
And they have a big chance right here. Runners, bases juiced. With only 1 out against Kieran Lovegrove, has been tough all day long.
This has been obviously a weather-altered qualifier to this point, and there is some more rain in the forecast later on in the day today. So if you're Germany, this is an official game after 4.5 if you've got the lead. If you could take the lead right now, you feel a whole lot better going into the top of the 5th in the event that the rains do arrive again. So this is a big, big spot here for the bottom 2 in this order. Cody Schultz and Kevin Katowski behind him.
And can you imagine, though, the magnitude of this game, the prep, the months of getting together as a team for the South African team or the German team, and all of a sudden, you get a sneaky lead going into that 5th inning, all of a sudden rain discontinues your run to get to the World Baseball Classic in March. Be a heartbreaker. And
now a 3-ball, no-strike count on Cody Schultz. Kieran Lovegrove's got nowhere to put him. 3-0 coming there for strike 1. What do you go to in this spot if you're Kieran Lovegrove?
You got to get whatever the most high percentage pitch for a strike, and that's a fastball for him. You have to compete in this situation.
3-1 is ball 4, and we are all tied up in the bottom of the 4th.
And again, that stamina, that energy level of Kieran Lovegrove comes into effect. Now look, if he's coming straight out of professional baseball to this tournament, I guarantee you the stamina as a starting pitcher, he'd be fine. He'd be cruising in the 4th inning, but you're starting to see some of the fatigue set in. Germany is going to take advantage of that. And that South African bullpen has to get ready to roll a little quicker right here. This could be the end of the road for Kieran Lovegrove.
Now Lovegrove will go to work against Kevin Katowski. Out of the 9 spot, the left-handed hitting left fielder takes the first pitch for a strike at the belt. Some work going on down the line in left for South Africa. Double barrel action.
Got Donovan Hendricks, lefty, veteran, 37 years old. And Team Germany got the bullpen cranking as well, another lefty.
Bouncing ball right side. It's past the dive of Bouillon. They'll get an out at first, but the run will score in Germain, and Germany has taken the lead. It's 2-1 in the 4th.
Yeah, tough break. South Africa losing that lead, that 1-0 lead. And, you know, we could tell, Tyler, you and I spoke about this in between innings. 1-0 will not get you through to the next game, but silver lining right here for Kieran Lovegrove to keep him in this game, essentially. You have to get outs.
And now 2 still in scoring position. You go back to Demetrius Moorer, who reached on an error in the 1st inning and walked in the 3rd. First pitch is down and away to Moorer. It's 1-0.
And you can see Kieran Lovegrove talking to the umpire, just begging for those pitches. Good pitch, look like a strike. You need them in those situations. Hanging by a thread right now on that mound.
Count goes even. You know, for South Africa, we saw this team just not go away against Spain. And Andrew Berglund told us that his team is a team of battlers. And that's kind of what you have to be to play baseball, you know, in South Africa. Not the easiest of field conditions or practice conditions, all that. But they did not go away against Spain. It'll be interesting to see their response today as Lovegrove now ahead in the count at 1-2.
Yeah, I asked him too in that press conference. I said, yeah, how was the rain for these guys? You know, it started to really rain heavily on that first day, and he just looked at me like I had 2 heads and said, look, you know, these guys, they can play in this weather. They've played rugby their whole lives. They're fine. They're tough. I was like, okay.
1-2 on Moorer. Lovegrove deals. Wow. Boy, it's a 1 of that call.
This looks like a pretty good pitch. Get you out of this inning with only 65 pitches. Maybe a little low, but hey, man, you want that when you're in this situation for Kieran Lovegrove.
Boyce was calling for that up, too, and Lovegrove pounded the bottom of the zone. Just missed strike 3. So he'll go back to work at 2-2 on Moorer. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Deuce is wild, as the late, great Vin Scully would have said. 2-2 pitch is there for strike 3, and Moorer is retired. A monster strikeout by Kieran Lovegrove to get this thing into the 5th. But Germany comes through. The first 2 aboard on singles. Both come across, and the home team's got a 2-1 lead as we head to the 5th in Regensburg. copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. They may not be disseminated. Don't try disseminating without express written consent. Back here for the bottom half of, or the top half rather, of the 5th inning. It is a kind of October baseball feeling atmosphere here in Germany over the last few days with this weather. We got everybody in coats and beanies and hoodies and trying to stay warm against the chill of this early fall air. I guess not officially, but close enough. As we move into the top half of the 5th, and South Africa looks to get right back even in this game. 1-0 lead carried into the bottom of the 4th inning by today's visiting team. Yielded 2 to Germany in the bottom of 4. We got a new arm into the game for Germany here in the 5th as a bunt third base side, and diving at first, Jonathan Phillips gets himself aboard with a bunt single. What an effort by Jonathan Phillips. Just didn't deaden that ball quite enough, and yet still hustled his tail off, and he slides head first for a leadoff single. So here's Victor Ngope as Phillips able to get himself aboard. New arm into the game for Germany is the left-hander Jordan Martinson. So Kit Sheets sees his day come to a close after 2 2/3 innings. The first pitch to Gift Ngope is ball 1. 2 2/3 for Sheets. 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Oof. Kyle Phillips slipped off the first base bag, and thankfully for South Africa, Lucas Dunn was looking the other way, just making sure he had secured that ball. Watch this back foot of Phillips.
Ooh. You lost that base runner.
And Ngope takes a strike.
You know, Jonathan Phillips sliding into that head-first dive into that bag. Never understood that. I mean, I've talked about this a lot. Actually slows you down, but...
Did you ever see the Mythbusters episode?
No, I didn't.
It doesn't. Bunt first base side, and easy flip there for Martinson. They said it gives you such a slight advantage that maybe it's not worth it most of the time, but it
to dive into the bag
compared to just running straight through the bag, a head first dive gets you there. I mean, it's basically the exact same, but slightly quicker.
Really?
Yeah. A couple of bunts out of the gate in this inning. Mythbusters sliding into first.
Now all of a sudden you have Kyle Boitier, middle of this lineup, back up. And look, you know, you get frustrated, you lose that lead. You can see Kieran Lovegrove written all over his face how frustrated he wasn't getting some of those calls. But if you're South Africa, all of a sudden you're getting deeper into that bullpen from Germany. You're going to get more chances to swing it, more opportunities. Just have to keep rolling.
Look at this sunshine. Holy cow, man. This is the most we've seen this field splashed with sun since we got here. So it was episode 83 of Mythbusters, August 8th, 2007. Gorgeous.
Some blue sky.
Monday afternoon. I didn't know that that color was still out there in the sky. You haven't seen it a whole lot. 1-1 pitch coming up here to the 3-hole hitter, and Boita swings through it. The myth that it's faster to slide into a base that you can't overrun was confirmed. Pitch just down, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, then, fair question is 100-meter sprint.
Why don't they dive across the finish line?
Across the finish line?
You know, I think they even made that reference in that episode. I don't know. It's a good question. 2-2. Over to short. They're going to go for the lead runner, and Phillips is safe at third. We'll see if Germany wants to take a look at this.
You see Jonathan Phillips may have gone down a hero here into third base. But, man, when you make this throw, you better make sure that you have that lead runner. And you see the throw just kind of pulling the third baseman, Jermaine, away from the body and gave Jonathan Phillips that extra split second to get in under the tag.
hopefully Jonathan is okay over there at third. The back of his right leg.
Yeah, he might be done. The leadoff hitter, the captain of the team.
Oh, man.
I mean, you just know how resilient this team is, how tough these guys are coming from South Africa. The culture down there, the sporting culture down there. I mean, that thing might be ripped in 2 pieces, that hamstring. He'll still stay in this game.
He's going to do everything possible to stay out there. That's a great job keeping the hand on the bag, too. Sliding in from kind of an awkward angle. Came from sort of the outfield side of the baseline and slid back toward the infield side. Trying to stretch out the right hamstring down the left field line now.
Yeah, it's a tough one right here for Andrew Berglund. As much as you want Jonathan Phillips to stay in this game, if you live to fight another day, you want to make sure he's healthy. He's at the top of that lineup. He's starting to heat up offensively, starting to swing it, and make sure he's right. Just gives a thumbs up. Looks like he's going to stay in there.
So now, instead of even a runner at third and 2 outs, or preferably for Germany, a runner at first and 2 outs, now it's neither. First and third, just 1 gone. And a chance here for Tyler Smith with Boita at first and Phillips at third. Bouncer foul.
I have a feeling this game's going to get back and forth with these momentum swings. South Africa threatening again.
Tyler Smith at the plate. He's got a lot of experience in this European baseball landscape. He won a Czech championship with the Arrows Ostrava last year alongside a couple of members of that Czech team. And now Boita picked off between first and second, and the throw goes back to third. Boita will advance to scoring position, and Phillips is back in safely.
Man, you got to think with that hamstring down there at third base is throbbing. Is he going to try and push the issue to try and score in this situation? But you can see the first baseman, Lucas Dunn, kind of caught in no man's land. That's a situation you've got to give the ball up to second base. And if Jonathan Phillips is going to run and going to try and score, yeah, you throw home, but you have to get an out in that situation.
Man, I don't think Jonathan Phillips is feeling real great over there at third. He stood on top of the bag, hands on his helmet, trying to stretch the leg out still. Stolen base between first and second, by the way, for Boita. But now that changes everything about this at bat. The infield comes in. A 1-1 count here on Smith.
You've seen Tyler Smith struggle against these lefties, especially that breaking ball. He has to put this ball in play.
And that's off the glove of Maxwell, and the passed ball will tie this game in the 5th.
Wow, what a break. Bruce Maxwell, the former big leaguer, clanking one that he could handle. You know, all of a sudden, South Africa with a limping Jonathan Phillips across the line here. Back, tied up.
Hey, man, yesterday we were talking with some members of this South Africa representation, and I mean, Phillips, that moment, that charges that dugout up more than maybe anything else.
For sure.
The fact that you're out there, you're one-legged essentially, and you're battling and you score the game-tying run. We talked about the similarities between Australian baseball and South African baseball. Your guys would be the same way, and the way that that would charge you up is unlike anything else. Is a foul out here from Smith.
Yeah, and look, you want Jonathan Phillips healthy, but if
Right.
you're a young player, he's one of the more veteran players on this team. He is the team captain, and you see him staying in that game, it just changes your mindset. It changes how you go about baseball, not just for this tournament, but for the rest of your career. It really does. But again, when you leave this game and you do, let's say South Africa hypothetically goes on, you need him at the top of that lineup.
Yeah.
Strap that thing up, whatever you got to do.
That does officially go as a passed ball, charged to Bruce Maxwell to bring in a game-tying run. So 2-2 our score now. And we talked about it last half inning. What is South Africa's response going to be? They got creative on the base pass in the first. Phillips tried to steal home. He was caught there. Here, Boita swiping second. Kept the pressure on. Phillips comes home on the pass ball. Now Boita's over at third.
You know, they've gotten to this point. It's the 5th inning. They look comfortable offensively, which is a big part of this as well. Look, sometimes you get to this spot, you've snuck in a run, but you just look overwhelmed at the plate. I've been on those situations with Australia. You're in the middle of a World Baseball Classic, and there's just really nothing doing. You might sneak across a run, but that's really it. I'll tell you what, South Africa look ready to roll, to break out. So did Germany at this point too.
This is a really good game here in game number 6 on day number 4 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier. Dale Feltman strikes out to end the inning, and that sends us to the bottom of the 5th. But South Africa back even, and through 4.5, we got a 2-2 game in Regensburg.
The World Baseball Classic qualifying round starts September 16th, and you can watch all 12 countries compete for free. Catch all the action live from Germany and Panama on worldbaseballclassic.com and by following at WBC Baseball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Hopefully those guys right there in the Viking hats go viral on social media.
They broke into your closet. They got those hats.
They did.
And, you know, it's a good way to be out here on a Monday afternoon.
Hold on. Is it a Viking hat, though? Did I just completely butcher that?
No, I said that earlier, too. And then I was like, you know what? I wonder if it's technically not a Viking hat, not in Scandinavia.
Am I getting blown up on social media
Probably.
right now for not knowing
Probably
the reference to the hat?
You showed me there's like a place where you can make fake tweets. I'm just going to now
Yeah.
fake, like, you know.
It's my favorite app.
At -18 on Twitter for all of your old-timey headwear recommendations and things. I'm at Tyler Maun, M-A-U-N.
Kieran Lovegrove still in this one. Tell you what, that strikeout was crucial to keep him in. 69 pitches right now. Remember, 85 is the limit. He's getting deep in these counts. You can see it, 3-0 now turned to 3-1. Bruce Maxwell trying to work a count to get on base. Tell you what, some of these big league hitters, the guys who have had some time in the big leagues, Altair, they're a lot more patient than what we've seen around the tournament.
Maxwell has grounded out to first twice today and was also charged with the pass ball that allowed South Africa to tie this game last half inning. Two balls and two strikes. Lovegrove ready. Nope, check that. 3-1 rather. And bounced foul, now 3-2.
Big pitch. Man, if Kieran Lovegrove could sneak in one more inning, that bullpen's in good shape for South Africa. This German team has to start getting into that pitch count. Getting some good pitches to hit.
Swung on and missed. A big strikeout from Lovegrove.
Going up in the strike zone with the fastball in this situation. That's that spot last inning where Boitier wanted Kieran Lovegrove. You can see how fired up he is. There's nothing better. You struggle a little bit. You give up the lead the last inning. Then you come right back in the heart of this order and get a big strikeout.
You know, the WBC social media team, Jonathan Phillips is still struggling, and he's going to come out of this game now. And we should have mentioned that he was on the field. We know how much he was limping across the plate, and Phillips now forced to be removed from this game, and he is really emotional, headed to the dugout on that third base side. And hopefully Jonathan is okay beyond today. But, you know, again, that's a guy who, if South Africa does not move on, is this the last time Jonathan Phillips dons this jersey? He's an 86th birthday. He's 36 years old. Next time the WBC qualifiers come around, he'll be 40. And, I mean, he is really emotional in that third base dugout.
Yeah, it really is. You can see Kieran Lovegrove before just giving him the tip of the hat, letting him know the entire dugout is feeling emotional from this.
I believe that's Christian Byers. Yeah, Christian Byers coming in to take over at third. So Phillips exits.
But what a big loss right there for this South African team. Losing him there to live to fight another day. That looked pretty significant too. You could see him hobbling home to tie this game up. Maybe they use that magic spray. Who knows? I don't think it's going to take more than that, though. That is for sure.
So Christian Byers comes in now. He'll be in that leadoff spot for South Africa. First pitch to Aaron Altair, low and away. Man, that's tough, though, to see a guy just trying to gut it out as much as possible. And like you said, the captain, one of the emotional leaders of this team, and unable to continue today. But going back to that strikeout, Lovegrove, that's the first out of the fifth inning. He comes back from 3-0 down, gets a strikeout, and the fist pump, the scream, the spin around. The WBC social media team put out a video the other day of the final out of game number one as Altair bounces this one too short, where Tyler Smith gobbles it up. 2 gone. And when Spain was able to finish off its victory to open this thing up against South Africa, Reiner Cruz, his celebration.
Altair keeping quiet at the plate. Bro, Bruce Maxwell, Altair in the middle of this lineup. 2 big outs here in the fifth.
You know, coming into the day today, those 2 guys put up some pretty good numbers in game number 1. Maxwell had a couple of singles. Altair was 0 for 1, but he walked 3 times. But today they are a combined 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts. But the emotion, man, you've been there, and especially on an elimination day.
Yeah, for sure. And you feel it the next day, that is for sure. We spoke to Justin Erasmus yesterday. I actually saw him today. He said to me, I said, how's your arm? You good? You good to pitch that final day if you get that far? And he said, hey, I can pitch today if I was allowed to. I'm like, oh, that's good. But again, a lot of it's carried through from adrenaline, emotion. Physically, you might be hanging, just like we saw with Jonathan Phillips. I mean, he's literally pulled his hamstring, hobbling around, and he wants to stay in this game.
Ball and a strike on Aldridge.
And you'll see it too with Kieran Lovegrove. If he gets this out, this strikeout, you'll see him get fired up. He's just going to get that jolt of energy going into that South African dugout.
1-1 lined, and Gope leaping grab, and the fist pump from his starter as Kieran Lovegrove, a fantastic 5-inning effort today here in Regensburg.
And we talked about this is just as good as a strikeout. South Africa's in a good spot.
We're going to the 6th, all tied at 2. Benji Smith is the leadoff man for South Africa in the top of the 6th inning out of the 6th spot in the order, and he takes the first pitch for a strike as Jordan Martinson is on for his 2nd inning out of the Germany bullpen.
Tough pitch right there, that backdoor breaking ball. Jordan Martinson's come on, 3rd lefty of the day for this Germany team.
Martinson out of Bedford, Texas.
Got that fastball, breaking ball combination. 21 pitches.
1-2 out to short. Cody Schultz, 1 up, 1 down.
We haven't seen a whole lot of that too. The first out of the inning. Both teams been threatening a ton. Putting guys on base, trying to make something happen.
That's just the 2nd time today that the leadoff man has been retired by Germany. South Africa had 4 leadoff men aboard in the first 5 innings today. Got the leadoff homer by Feltman in the 2nd. And a leadoff bunt single by Jonathan Phillips last inning. You know, and going back to that, you kind of wonder if that's where maybe the hamstring issue started. He didn't really show it until after sliding into 3rd, but Phillips with that headfirst dive to get on the bunt single.
Right.
1-0 pitch, a called strike to Tyrone Milne out of the 7th spot.
Trying to shave that millisecond off the time down the line. It worked. Got on base. Hey, you know what, though? I will say this. Look, as tough as that is, but, you know, first of all, getting on base, they've just lost the lead. Infield single. Gets around to 3rd base, dives in, hobbling around. Then he ends up scoring.
Yeah.
So at least get a little bit of value to that torn-up hamstring.
That is that's a Kurt Gibson kind of moment for what it does to a dugout.
If you do that thing, you know, ranging to your left to try and grab a ground ball or something insignificant, doesn't have the same effect.
3-1 in the air to right. Moorer sizes that one up, 2 gone. South Africa has not been retired in order once today. Martinson trying to do that for the first time here in the 6th. And that will bring Steve Janssen from the first base dugout. So it looks as he'll go matchup work here with Bouillon coming to the plate. Unless this is just a conversation with Martinson, but really good work to start this inning from Jordan Martinson. And this is going to be a pitching change. So Germany with some work going on down that right field line. They will head out for a new arm in a game that has been a very, very good one. 1 out to start this thing off, the grounder by Benji Smith, the fly out by Tyrone Milne. That is 4 straight retired by Martinson to close his day. We'll tell you about the new arm when we return. 2-2 our score. A new arm into the game and some flashy Wu-Tang Clan socks into the game.
Love it.
The right-hander Nick Whitgren, the former 7-year big leaguer, takes over on the mound for Germany as we move along in the 6th.
Look, we've got the hats, we've got the socks now all of a sudden.
This is a fashion-centric matchup.
I love it.
First pitch from Whitgren up and in to Brandon Bouillon.
Yeah, you mentioned Whitgren pitching in the big leagues this year with the St. Louis Cardinals. Low 90s fastball. Change-up, cutter, sinker, slider.
He broke in with the Miami Marlins in 2016, pitched 3 years in Miami, 3 years in Cleveland, and then spent 29 games with St. Louis this year. 2-0 count on Bouillon, who is 0 for 1 with a walk today.
Yeah, looking at some of his numbers for Whitgren, I think as the years went on, he lost that command. His walk rate went through the roof. The hard contact went through the roof as well for him. Got DFA this year in 2022.
2-1, line to first and snared by Lucas Dunn for the final out of the inning. Bouillon thought maybe he was going to have a hit, and his counterpart at first robs him of that. 3 up, 3 down goes South Africa for the first time today. Jordan Martinston stays under that 30 pitch threshold, and we're headed to the bottom of the 6th in a tie game, 2-2. Two-two game as we move along into the bottom of the 6th inning here in Regensburg. Tyler Mon, Ryan Roland-Smith. This might be the best one we've had so far.
Yeah, it really has been. I mean, South Africa, you wanted to see them get some rhythm. Team Germany, who struggled last time out against Great Britain, but both teams are hanging tough right now. This is going to be a battle of the bullpens.
New arm into the game for South Africa as we continue and head into the bottom of the 6th. The right-hander Kevin Townend takes over. So 5 terrific innings from Kieran Lovegrove, who got the start today and did everything possible to keep his team alive here in the 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier, and he'll give way to the bullpen as Townend takes over to face 5, 6, and 7 for Germany in the bottom of the 6th in a 2-2 game.
Yeah, Kieran Lovegrove was outstanding today. You had that feeling of him running out of gas there when Germany were putting it on when they tied this game up. Excuse me, went ahead. And they're able to battle through, get through 5, especially with that tight pitch count. He's approaching that 85 pitch mark.
And you know, again, the emotional lift that you get from things that have happened, these little moments in this game, the Jonathan Phillips play, of course, scoring, hobbled, coming across with a game-tying run. For Kieran Lovegrove, yeah, like you said, he was kind of scuffling in the 4th. It looked as though maybe he was running out of gas, and then he comes back out in the 5th, gets the leadoff strikeout of a former big leaguer in Bruce Maxwell, retires Aaron Altair, gets Daniel Aldrich on a line out as this ball driven well to left, moving back on it and leaping. Tyrone Milne won't have a play. William Germain belts one out, and Germany's got the lead back 3-2.
Yeah, you're just talking about Kieran Lovegrove in such a good rhythm. All of a sudden they get him out of the game. Townend comes in. It's pretty hittable, hangs his breaking ball. And all of a sudden, Germany, with some authority, takes the lead. Man.
Tyrone Milne didn't see that immediately off the bat. Didn't end up mattering as that thing sailed out of here, but now, once again, South Africa is going to have to come from behind, and once again, Germany is in the driver's seat to try to hang on to this lead.
That's tough. You come into a game, you watch your buddy Kieran Lovegrove do his thing, dominate for 5 innings, battle through some tough spots. If you're Kevin Townend, you want to come and contribute, and all of a sudden, first hitter you face takes you deep.
1-1 left side. That's through for a base hit. Back-to-back knocks start the 6th for the home team.
This is another breaking ball. Pitch hit hard on the ground, but through that hole. At this point, for South Africa, you just have to mix and match in this situation. You see the bullpen is getting going again. If you don't have it, you don't have it. But I think for Kevin Townend, you just have to keep taking breaths and keep executing pitches, try and get a ground ball, get your team back in the dugout. Look, South Africa, regardless of going down with these leads, they've been threatening all game long. Still right in this thing.
Marco Cardozo, the batter, as the corner infield comes in. Middle infielders playing to turn it up the middle. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Germany. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for South Africa.
You might see a visit right here from Boita behind the plate. Just got to slow him down a little bit. See some frustration coming out from Townend. Yeah, here he comes.
Townend, a big-bodied guy out there out of Cape Town, 6'2", 225. Plays his club ball for the Belleville Tigers.
You can see this crowd starting to get fired up. They can feel it. This game's getting late. Those opportunities are getting less and less for South Africa to stay in this one.
Cardozo a single last time up. That loaded the bases with 1 out. In the 4th inning, Germany brought home 2 to take the lead. Tied this game on a bases loaded walk by Cody Schultz, and then a run-scoring ground out by Kevin Katowski gave Germany its first advantage. South Africa re-leveled the score in the 5th, and the leadoff homer here in the 6th has given Germany the advantage once again.
Yeah, this is tough too. You bring in Kevin Townend in a situation like this. Not only he's laboring a little bit, but not only does it force you to make more moves, obviously in the bullpen, which you may see here, but it affects what you do moving forward too. Tomorrow, the next day. Good pitch. Getting back to that 3-2 count, but you want to have arms, you want to have availability. You don't want to be stressed on that last day where you are just completely out of options down in that bullpen because of some of the pitch limitations.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Cardozo. Not a real far lead over there for Lucas Dunn, but wanting to make sure that he's not getting too much of a jump off the bag. 3-2. On the ground over to third. That's a fair ball knocked down by the replacement third baseman. A long throw to first by Byers is not in time. And it's first and second now with nobody out and a run already home for Germany in the sixth.
Man, that hurts if you're South Africa. All of a sudden, you go from 3-0 to 3-2. You get a ground ball. It's just a slow roller. Nothing you can do down there at third base. There's some speed getting down the line. Good play, too, to get up and make that throw. But Andrew Berglund's going to have to go to his bullpen in this situation.
Tough start out there for Kevin Townend, and his afternoon will come to a close. South Africa's headed to the bullpen. Making his second appearance of this 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier, the right-hander Daniel Mendelsohn out of the South Africa bullpen in the sixth as Germany threatens. South Africa saw William Germain hit a leadoff homer in this inning. Lucas Dunn followed with a single to the left side. Marco Cardozo reaching on an infield single to third. And Mendelsohn will try to put out the fire as Germany threatens to break this thing open in the bottom of six.
Daniel Mendelsohn has pitched here in Germany. You could hear the crowd when he came in, even though he's in the opposing team, giving him some love. Big opportunity to get this team, these South African hitters, back in the dugout.
First man in to face him is the shortstop Cody Schultz, who is 1 for 1 with a walk today. Schultz had a single in the third inning, led off that inning, and then worked the bases loaded walk to get Germany its first run of the game in the fourth. So it's Lucas Dunn at second base, Marco Cardozo at first. And Schultz digging in. South Africa guarding against the bunt. They had a pick play on and nothing doing there with Dunn back in.
Now, part of that is just to see if the hitter Schultz shows bunt, get a leg up on that play.
Mendelssohn's first offering on the way to Cody Schultz. And there is that bunt shown and the pitch down. It's ball one.
We've seen this being an issue for both teams throughout this tournament, playing good defense on one of these bunt plays. So Germany elect to try and get the lead run. It didn't work. And on the flip side, South Africa getting the lead run on one of these bunt plays, which made all the difference early in this game. Priority number one is getting out.
Long set. Mendelssohn home on 1-0.
Before you do that, you got to throw strikes. You got to force the action.
A couple innings ago, when Germany had first and second, nobody out, Lucas Dunn squared to bunt, and he popped one up over to Jonathan Phillips, who was in the game at third at the time. Maybe aiming for something similar there. Mendelssohn going with that elevated fastball. 2-0. That one's there for a strike.
Yeah, you can see Schultz pulling that bat back. It is 2-0. Just to make him work a little bit. He's seeing that ball really well. Tried to lay a bunt down early in this game, popped it up. And make sure you get this one down.
Tense moments at Armin Wolf Baseball Arena here in Regensburg. The World Baseball Classic future of these two national teams for 2023 hanging in the balance here today. One team is moving on. They will square off with the Czech Republic. One team is headed home after this one. 2-1 pitch from Mendelssohn coming. 3 balls and a strike now.
Man, some of these big moments just highlights what it took to get to this place for a team like South Africa. We heard all about it. Months and months of this team trying to get together, training under some tough circumstances. We heard all about it's called load shedding back in South Africa, where they don't want to overload the grid. So you got no lights to work out at night. All comes down to big plays like this.
3-1. Bunt down this time. It's right back to the mound. The play at third from Mendelssohn, and he throws it away, and Germany's going to add a run to the lead. Dunn scores. Head first slide into third for Cardozo. Schultz into second behind him. A 2-run advantage for the first time today for the home team.
And this is where that game speeds up. You have to be 100% certain before you throw this pitch, before you take that breath. You have to be sure that if you are going to throw down to third base, you are 100% able to make that play. Because like we said, the priority is to get and out. You can see Mendelssohn just game speeding up on him a little bit. He saw the run, he saw that daylight to try and make that throw, and then he just rushed it.
That goes as a successful sacrifice bunt and an error. Charge to the pitcher Mendelssohn, so things unraveling for South Africa here in the 6th as they try to stem the tide. Now it's Kevin Katowski's turn, and first pitch swinging. He'll yank one foul. It's 0-1.
You really don't want Tyler to go home from this, be eliminated over defense, over defensive plays, things you work on as a team, as a group, as a unit. You know, if I'm going to get beat, you're going to beat me. We don't want to beat ourselves.
It does leave so much more of a sour taste in your mouth when they're self-inflicted wounds. And an 0-1 pitch, line softly to left. Katowski will drive in 1. Schultz holds at third, but that is 5 straight to reach for Germany to start the 6th. And another run in. It's a 5-2 lead.
Well, you can see this start to unravel, that momentum going into that Germany dugout right now. Getting pitches to hit, getting breaks. South Africa beating themselves defensively. That's a good piece of hitting too. Still none out.
Yeah, that's the tough thing right now for South Africa. You haven't been able to secure 1 out and get yourself any closer. And the hope was on the bunt, you'd be able to get that out and keep things at first and second, but a real tough start to this inning for this South Africa relief corps. Head to the bullpen again. We'll tell you about the new arm on the other side.
environment is so festive.
Microphone 1 2 1 2. Pack the whole place.
The fans here enjoying what they're seeing at this time.
Marching to the World Baseball Classic.
Third reliever of this inning into the game for South Africa as things have started to spin away from today's visiting team. A 3-run bottom of the 6th. First and third, still nobody out for Germany. And a 5-2 lead as Robert Louis Walker takes over for his first appearance of this World Baseball Classic qualifier.
Robert Louis Walker has a pro experience 2012, 2013 with the Cincinnati Reds. They're representing South Africa.
First man in to see him is Demetrius Moore, the leadoff man, who's been aboard twice in 3 trips today. Reached on an error, walked, struck out his last time up. That ended the 4th. And he goes first pitch swinging and skies one out to right center. Benji Smith back chasing it, looking up, and it carries out of here. The first pitch from Robert Louis Walker is a 3-run homer. Germany has busted it open. It's 8-2 in the 6th.
And this South African bullpen has no answers for this German lineup right now. We talked about that ball, that right center field gap where the wind just blows out of there, that wind tunnel. This ball is crushed. Sees a fastball up in the zone. You can see that little bat flip. He knows right away, the minute you get it up in that wind, it has no chance of coming back.
You know, Benji Smith, that came off the bat. Benji Smith kind of initially viewed it like that was going to be a fairly routine fly out, and then got on his horse chasing it back into the last second. Looked up, he had given up on that ball. It was so far out.
Yeah,
So
how quickly
6 runs home.
How quickly this game has unraveled.
And still nobody out.
Still none out. Gone through 2 pitches. Townend, Mendelssohn. Both guys unable to record an out in this game. Third reliever in the 6th.
See that undershirt for Bruce Maxwell. That is the logo of a Mexican League team. The Acereros of Monclova. That's where he played in 2019 and was back there this past season. Played 44 games in Monclova in the Mexican state of Coahuila. Breaking out the cold weather gear. Didn't know you would need the cold weather gear playing in Mexico, but he's got the long sleeve on today.
Definitely need it here. See if Bruce Maxwell can get one up in that wind tunnel.
He's been quiet today, 0 for 3 with a strikeout, a couple of weak groundouts to first. He had the passed ball that looked like it was going to be such a pivotal moment in this game, and now Germany has answered for him. On the outside corner, 2-2.
Well, we've talked about this a lot. See Kieran Lovegrove just absolutely hold it down, and when you're in non-baseball country, it always comes down to what weapons do you have in that bullpen? How much depth do you have? You're going to need it, but we know about the pitch limitations. And this is a classic example of it today. And speaking of the bullpen, for Louis Walker, that was a big breaking ball against Bruce Maxwell. Big strikeout. Finally recording it out here in the 6th. Bringing his team back in the dugout.
From one hyphenated last name to another, the man to my right was the first ever hyphenated big leaguer, Ryan Roland Smith. There's been, I think, 2 since? Right?
2 since, yeah. A kind of falafel with the Yankees. You know what? I was the first and only for a long time, Tyler, and then all of a sudden, Isaiah kind of falafel comes along with the Texas Rangers, now with the Yankees. And man, I got to tell you, I know he was following in my footsteps to get to the big leagues, and it was a huge honor to meet me. I guess I was pretty disappointed. I want to be the only one forever.
Big drive out to left after center field, and Smith chasing this one back, watches it clank off the batter's eye, and another former big leaguer, Aaron Altair, busts out his first hit of the day, is a solo homer, the 3rd blast of the inning, and Germany's got a 7-run lead.
And for the man who's hit 19 home runs for the Philadelphia Phillies not that long ago, finally that bat comes to life. That was an absolute bomb to straightaway center field, and Andrew Berglund on his way out to the mound. Let's get another look at that. This pitch is middle of the strike zone. Look at that power. Digging that ball out and crushing off that batter's eye out there. Dead center.
That is the first hit of the qualifier for Aaron Altair, and it'll bring the 9th man of the inning to the plate when we return, as South Africa will go to the bullpen for the 3rd time this inning. Kieran Lovegrove gave him 5 terrific frames out of the gate, but here it's all falling apart in the 6th for South Africa. Reliever coming on. Latest arm into the game for South Africa in the bottom of the 6th. A nightmarish bottom of the 6th for this South Africa side is the left-hander Donovan Hendricks, who will go to work against his fellow lefty Daniel Aldrich. We know those Germany supporters, they're having some fun, as a 2-2 game into the 6th has swung their direction in a big, big way. A 7 spot, and that's just so far here in the 6th. 3 homers so far in this inning, only 1 out. Bruce Maxwell's strikeout. Everybody else has reached and scored. Germany taking big control, but a candy hop over to first there, and Bouillon will retire Aldrich. 10th man of the inning coming to the plate now, in the person of William Germain, who led off with a homer.
Man, you think about how intense this game was, 2-2 up until this 6th inning. Man, you look at the box score at the end of the game, you're like, hold on a second. Just broke out. We talked about, too, Germany hitting a bunch of singles. No extra base hits. Not the case.
You know, it's similar to what we saw on night number 1 for France against Great Britain. That was a close game. 5-3 after 5 innings. Ended up 14-4. And this one, really good one, here into the bottom of the 6th. Now Germany has taken over. The run rules are a 15-plus run lead after 5, or a 10-plus run lead after 7. So if Germany were to plate 3 more in this inning and then get 3 in the top half of the 7th without South Africa scoring, that would wrap this thing up early. But now 2 outs, base is empty. It's there for a strike to William Germain. Swinging a flare right center field. That'll get down for a base hit. It's going to split Smith and Carlsa, and it's on toward the warning track, a 2-out double. And William Germain is having himself a heck of a day. He's a triple away from the cycle now.
Again, that ball right center field, that's that happy zone. If you get it up in the air, it'll just keep carrying. See Benji Smith not able to carry it, not to cut it off. It's got an extra 10 feet.
We'll get a pinch runner on in place of William Germain as Eric Brink enters from the first base dugout, member of the Bond Capitals. So Brink aboard now at second, and Dunn, who singled as the second man up this inning, skies one out into right. Carlsa's there, and that will retire the side. But 11 men bat for Germany in the seventh, and 7 score. We head to the top of the seventh. South Africa's got its work cut out for it, headed to the top half of the seventh inning, a 7 spot in the bottom of the sixth for Germany. And as we head to the latter third of this game, it's a 9-2 lead. Back upstairs in Regensburg at Armin Wolf Baseball Arena, Tyler Mon, Ryan Rowland-Smith, pinch hitter to get things started for South Africa. Here in the top half of the seventh is Keegan Swanepoel. Keegan on in place of Jason Carlsa, who made the catch for the final out of the bottom half of the sixth inning. But, man, it's tough, Ryan. I mean, South Africa right in this game. They rally from down a run, get things tied up, head into the bottom of the sixth inning. You're feeling good about where you are, and then all of a sudden just everything goes wrong. Yeah, it just completely unravels. I mean, you know, Jonathan Phillips comes out of the game, blowing his hamstring out to tie it up. Goes down a hero. All of a sudden, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. Can your bullpen hold it? And, again, we've talked about this a lot with these non-baseball countries. It's a depth issue. You get deeper into that bullpen, there's just not a whole lot. I mean, you had a handful of guys, Town and Lewis Walker, barely, Mendelson barely getting out. MLB.com's fantastic writer Michael Clare is in the house and had a really good thread. A swing and a miss there by Swanepoel was gone for out number one. Had a really good thread about how this is sort of a changing of the guard for South Africa baseball, as Sasha Coe is the new pitcher into the game for Germany, and how long these players have been on both sides. You know, South Africa's got 5 guys on this roster who were on their 2009 World Baseball Classic team. That's 13 years ago. Donovan Hendricks, who just closed out that last inning. Jared Alario, Justin Erasmus, their Game 1 pitcher. Kyle Boita, the backstop today, and Jonathan Phillips. Michael Clare said in a tweet, quote, "This is a real changing of the guard for both teams. Phillips has been on Team South Africa since 2006, and he played with Germany's captain, Simone Göring, on the AZL Brewers in 2003.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's almost 2 decades ago.
Yeah, at some point you have to make that decision too. If you're a team like South Africa, and I've had to deal with this, watching Team Australia, you have an aging roster. Do all of a sudden, some of these guys who may have had some major league time or some professional experience that strongholds on these rosters have been around forever, and they're kind of used to just continuing to be a part of that national team. But you're thinking to yourself, man, you've got some good young talent. Do you replace that? And it's tough. It is tough to tell some of these players to let them know that their time's up.
Christian Byers, who came on as the defensive replacement in place of Jonathan Phillips last inning, he's retired. And that is tough because I think you very much want guys to come to that realization on their own. The difficult thing is in a scenario with a national team, World Baseball Classic or Baseball World Cups or whatever it is, there's only so many games to be played. It's not as though you've got a 162-game season and day after day somebody is going to gradually realize maybe it's time for me to step aside.
Right.
You hold on to it as long as possible.
You do. Yeah, you really do. And you have that pride about being there, and also everything you offer away from your performance on the field, about creating that team chemistry, being that leader in the dugout and everything else. But at some point, you have to make the decision. We had a situation with some of the veteran guys at the Premier 12 on the Team Australia who all of a sudden are on the bench, and they weren't happy about it.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes because there's good young talent coming behind you. And you have to make way for that.
And it's tough when you've only gotten to play on these biggest stages a handful of times. You don't want to give that up. You want to have that experience forever because it is so amazing. But you have to open the door to that next generation. And something that we talked about with members of this South Africa delegation is in order to create that next generation, these guys have to have opportunities to play. Mm-hmm. And so this is a changing of the guard and the dawn of a new era more than likely for South Africa. The likelihood that we see Jonathan Phillips or Kyle Boita or some of these veteran guys again in 4 years is probably very small. Although I say that, and Orbel Marquez, he could be here 5 WBCs from now. The starter for Germany is 47 today. We're talking about him in the 2046 World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And again, look, it comes down to if you are a non-baseball country, you have to start from the ground up. How do you develop? How do you grow the game? How do you recruit those players that are playing these other sports? How do you get these good athletes involved in baseball? But these veteran players, they're a big part of that. When they go back, again, I know they have to get on with their lives away from baseball, but sometimes you still have to give back to and figure out a way to help out getting that system going where you just have a plethora of good young athleticism and talent coming through your baseball programs.
There's a liner to right field off the bat of Boita, and right as we're talking about his legendary status with this South African national team, he serves one the other way for his first hit of the day, his 3rd time on base with a walk and also reach on a fielder's choice. So Ngope up to second.
Yeah, the other discussion too, Boita, a good piece of hitting right here, inside out. The other discussion as well, if you're South Africa, we've had talks about this too with Team Australia, can you go out and try and find who has some sort of lineage, maybe a South African passport that's outside? I know all these guys are born and raised in South Africa, but sometimes, can you go seek out someone who has some sort of draw to, a parent or was born in South Africa? We've seen that with, obviously, Great Britain have done that. That's part of growing the game as well on your home soil.
Little squib grounder out to short. Cody Schultz will flip it to the bag where Marco Cardozo records the final out of the inning. 2 on with 2 out for South Africa. They'll leave a pair. We head to the bottom of the 7th. Germany out in front by 7. into the bottom of the 7th inning. It's a 7-run lead for Germany, which gives us the opportunity to show you the run rule determinations. If Germany gets 3 runs here in the 7th, it'll effectively end up as a walk-off victory. Germany with a 7-run advantage. They need to lead by 10 after 7 in order to wrap this game up early. That's not what South Africa wants, obviously, and the left-hander Donovan Hendricks out there to try to keep it from happening. But, man, this offense is clicking now. 7 runs in the bottom of the 6th for Germany.
Yeah, finally got going. We heard all about the power they have. Some of the big guys in the middle of the lineup. Altair hitting that ball off the batter's eye. Some big bats coming alive.
So, moving into the bottom of 7, Marco Cardozo to lead things off. And a grounder out towards second on the first pitch as Ngope bobbles it, but he still gets the out over there. 1 up, 1 down.
Getting quick outs. Donovan Hendricks, the lefty. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Now to the 8th spot in the order, and Cardozo's double play teammate Cody Schultz. First pitch there for a strike to him.
And you can't emphasize enough, too. I saw France leaving their team hotel this morning on the way over here. Packed up. 2 games. All that prep. That breakfast with Bruce Bochy to bring him in to try and help this team get through their first World Baseball Classic. And it's all said and done in 2 games. It's amazing. Hopefully Bruce Bochy can stick around with the French program, maybe help out, do some development stuff in France with some of the young players. That sports academy.
Yeah, we talked with Bruce Bochy a lot about the next steps for French baseball. And, you know, the answer that we heard there from him was really similar to what we've heard from South Africa, what we've heard from the Czech Republic about we need to think bigger. We need to be able to bring more people into the tent. We need to have the type of program that doesn't revolve around just the wins and losses and the recognition that we can get. But if we're building from a foundation and from a place of strength, can we start getting to these tournaments, winning games based on that depth, and not just, well, we brought in a few affiliated guys, we had some success, and that'll be the way we try to go about it forward.
Yeah, and then just press the reset button and do it all over again. Yeah, no, again, I mean, resources. You have limited resources, limited budget. Good pitch right there, changeup. Donovan Hendricks getting some quick outs. It's not what we saw in the 6th inning. Here's that changeup down and away. Left on right. Tough pitch. But yeah, you have limited resources, limited bodies, limited people trying to build your program. That the emphasis has to be in some of those kids, not only recruiting, but also building it up, getting the right training, the right programs.
It is really impressive, the conversations that we've had with these federations about just how committed they are to building something real. You know, the way these federations are thinking so big is really impressive, because I think you could come into an event like this and have a team say, as this ball's lined into left center field, that'll dunk down for a base hit. A pinch hitter, Wilson Lee, on in place of Kevin Katowski's got himself a knock. You could have a federation come in and, you know, be largely based in a very small community of baseball enthusiasts and not really have much outside of that.
Yeah.
But every single organization that we've talked to has said, hey, we know what our strengths are. We want to be able to accentuate those things, but we also want to add people from outside of this community right now. And that's been really impressive.
Yeah, and one of the biggest separators, I've talked about this a lot, and growing up in Australia, the biggest separator, when you're playing one of these national programs and you're 15U or you're 18Us, and you roll in, you face a Team USA, a Japanese team, a Korean team, some of these powerhouses from a junior level all the way up to, obviously, you know, the major leagues and everything else. Velocity, it's such a separator. It's amazing. You roll in and all of a sudden you're like, man, these guys throw literally 10 miles an hour harder than me, and they are the same age, and they all do it. And so that's one of these things that I've seen Team Australia trying to adopt different programs. Driveline, they brought Driveline in 2016 to try and get it done. Man, it's tough. On the flip side, from a hitting standpoint, when you're 15 years old or 18 years old and you roll in to face these teams, you've never seen velocity like that. So all of a sudden you're facing some kid blowing 90 plus. You're like, man, I've never seen this. And that's that separator. Such a big deal.
And it really is so pronounced. I mean, having seen the U15 World Cup a couple of weeks ago, the velocity that you see from the U.S., Japan, Cuba, as the ball crushed out to left field by Demetrius Moore. Bat flip, he knows it, it's out of here. And Germany is a run away from a run rule victory on a Monday afternoon.
Man, Demetrius Moore again, second home run of the day. This is significant too, getting that little change up down the way, getting those arms extended. That ball's crushed. His crowd is loving it. Like I said, this is a pitch down the way. Look at him go down and get that ball. This is significant as well because all of a sudden you hit that stride offensively, you get that momentum, you roll into tomorrow in another elimination game, you feel real good about your bats and some of the offense you can put up.
Another pinch hitter on for Germany. Vincent Ahrens, the Cologne product and the Bonn Capitals catcher, will come on in place of Bruce Maxwell. So again, if Germany's able to scratch one more across here in the bottom of the seventh, this game would be over via the run rule. Hendricks deals and a grounder over to third. This one should go to the eighth, and it will, as Byers is able to get the out over at first. But two more across for Germany, which needs one more to end it early. We'll head to the eighth, 11-2, Germany leads.
Let's go, boys.
Got some defensive changes for Germany as we continue along in this game, which has turned into a very productive day at the plate for the host nation. Germany 11 runs now on 14 hits and a 9-run lead over South Africa. Some players who came on as pinch hitters and pinch runners staying in this game, including the new backstop, Vincent Ahrens, takes over behind the plate. He pinch hit last inning. Pinch runner from a couple innings ago, Eric Brink, stays in over at third, and Wilson Lee is out there in left field. Pinch hitter who singled and scored last inning. Back upstairs at Armin Wolf Baseball Arena here in Regensburg. Tyler Maughan, Ryan Rowland-Smith. Our lone game today on a Monday. This is originally scheduled to be the off day, more accurately the weather day, knowing that we would probably be dealing with some rain and such. Got a Night game rained out last night between these two teams, so bumped back to today as Dale Feltman fouls that one into the screen. It was Feltman who fired the early shot in this game, a leadoff homer in the second inning. Gave his team a 1-0 lead. South Africa has not led since. They did trail the game 2-1 and then tie it 2-2, but since then, 9 runs over the last 2 innings at the plate for Germany. And this game fully in command of the home team, much to the excitement of the legion of German baseball supporters behind the plate.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, yeah, it gives you more time to process the loss if you're South Africa, but nonetheless, tough.
Grounder over 2 short, where it's scooped by Cody Schultz, and his throw escapes from Lucas Dunn. So leadoff base runner.
See the defense on their heels a little bit. You know what? Get as many base runners as you can. See what happens here, but you know in that dugout, that's an E6, you know in that dugout they're just trying to process from the 6th inning onwards what happened. Tell you what though, from these games, you can walk away from it and say, oh yeah, we got beat, that team's better. Or you can say, all right, what did we learn from this? What is it? What do we lack? What are our weak links? Obviously it's a depth issue with some of your players. But also, how do we prep next time we go into this situation? Do we change the roster up? All these little things that you got to sort of answer that question, especially if you're the Baseball Association back in South Africa. How do we get back to the stage in good shape so we're competitive again?
You said you've had those conversations at times with the Australian baseball community. You go to play in events and realize that maybe you're just not up to the same level as the teams you square off with. And those aren't easy conversations to have.
They are
because you want to roll into every event and think we're right there, we're toe-to-toe. But sometimes it does show you that, hey, we can be toe-to-toe. We've just got more work to do.
Absolutely. I think every year, as years go on, especially coming from, like I said, a non-baseball country, roll into the World Baseball Classic. And we're going to see Team Australia. I'm excited to watch them and cover them in March in Tokyo up against, Team Japan, up against Korea, some powerhouses. And you look and say, how do we match up? Can we compete with these teams? And you can hold them down, but what are those little things that is going to get us over the line? I think for Australia, there's a couple situations in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. A little bit of mismanagement. John Deeb will be the first to tell you that with the bullpen situation we had against Cuba. Had a young Alex Wells and left him in there for too long. But just those little moments that can affect basically everything that goes on the years to come from that.
First hit of the day for Benji Smith, who lines that one left side and through. So it's first and second, nobody out for South Africa here in the 8th. And even for the countries that are established, as weird as it sounds, Samurai Japan, which is the team name bestowed on the men's senior national team in Japan, Samurai Japan has had a lot of those conversations in recent years. They dominated the first 2 World Baseball Classics, won back-to-back championships. They have not won it since. 2013, 2017, they came up short. They installed a new coaching staff back in, I believe 2018 was when the hire was made, Atsunori Inaba. And the assignment was, all right, all you got to do is go out, win Premier 12, win an Olympic gold medal on home soil. And he did that. He accomplished that. But when it is a WBC event and Japan's best are going up against the best from around the world, ever since the U.S. rosters have gotten better and better and the rest of these teams have started bringing in more of their top talent, Japan hasn't been there at the end. So even the best countries are having those conversations of, okay, well, what do we need to retool in order to get better for next time out?
It's funny, too. You mentioned that, Team Japan in the Olympics in 2004 when we beat them to go to the gold medal game. They ended up winning the bronze. We beat them 1-0. Daisuke Matsuzaka was pitching against us, and that was a big wake-up call. And I know there was so many changeovers with that coaching staff. John Deeb was the manager for the Australian team, and we had such a good program, such a good philosophy, and it worked. I mean, we had success at the Olympic level. I remember that Team Japan kept inviting us to go back to Japan and play against them because we were a big draw card. They wanted to, beat the daylights out of us because of what happened at the Olympics. I played with Kenji Jojima with the Seattle Mariners, and every time I'd bring it up, he'd just put his head down and say, we're not talking about that right now.
0-2 pitch, and Milne fights this off shallow right. That's over the head of Marco Cardozo, and down for a third straight base runner to open things in the 8th for South Africa.
Wow, look at this. All of a sudden, Germany's going to a deeper part of their bullpen. South Africa's starting to put some hits together. Still none out.
When you guys got that win over Japan, it really did a lot to legitimize where Australian baseball was. And when baseball was dropped from the Olympic Games, that changed the picture for a lot of national federations, because with the World Baseball Classic now coming into prominence, there is support for a lot of these federations from governmental entities and all of that. But when baseball went out of the Olympic Games after Beijing in 2008, there were a lot of federations that saw their funding disappear.
Exactly.
And that's what makes these events so important, for the visibility, for the financial support, all of that.
Yeah, I know Team Australia, you make a great point. If you're an Olympic sport and you qualify for the Olympics, you know, it could be, you know, everything from table tennis to synchronized swimming. Your sport gets a ton of funding. It's so right. So, you know, when baseball was reintroduced to the Olympics, all of a sudden the priority for some of these countries, Australia included, was to get back to the Olympic Games. Obviously, the pandemic made it a little bit more of a bumpy road, but you only had 6 teams that qualified. It used to be 8.
Right.
In Athens, when we went, it was 8 teams that qualified. Well, all of a sudden, it was 6. And so it was a lot tougher to get back there, but that was the goal, the priority, to gain that funding. And also, too, some of the, you know, the media spotlight as well in your home country. I'll never forget Dave Nielsen, who, you know, prominent big leaguer, 10 years in the big leagues as an MLB All-Star. And, you know, we talked about this a lot. Here's Dave Nielsen, the MLB quote-unquote superstar in Australia, the most, you know, decorated player to come out of Australia. And here's Dave Nielsen, the Olympian. I'm telling you right now, I went to the Olympics for 2 weeks. He gained a lot more from that Olympics than he did playing 10 years in the big leagues.
Swanepoel out to left. That's going to be a sacrifice fly. They may get the out on the trail runner, and they will. That turns into a bizarre double play as the run scores from third. Feldman comes home. And now on the tag at second, Milne is hurt.
That's not good. You don't want to go home with a bunch of injuries from this tournament.
Check that. I said it was Swanepoel. It was actually Brandon Bullion who flew out. So he's the lead out there that scores the run. Benji Smith is up at third now, but Tyrone Milne thrown out.
Yeah, you don't want to give up base runners when you're down by this amount, especially when your team starts swinging it.
Liner into center. Altair dives. That's past him, and that's going to roll toward deep center. 1 run is in, and digging into second base with a 2-out double, Josh Hendricks, in a pinch hitting appearance.
And to the point right now, it's essentially 11-5 if you don't give up that base runner right now, and you've got a runner in scoring position with 1 out. This is what we've seen this a couple times, guys. Going for that big dive, going all in. If no one's behind you, that ball's going to trickle all the way down to the wall, and it's going to be extra bases. And you've seen that a lot too. You got some speed out there. You miss that ball at center field, that's going to be an inside the park home run. It was funny going back to Australia, just back to the Olympics. I go back to Australia and say, oh, I'm an Olympian. They're like, wow. I say, I also played in the big leagues. That's okay. They care more about the fact that you went to the Olympics.
Sure you did. Speaking of Team Australia and Japan, those 2 teams will open their WBC preparation coming up in November, a 2-game friendly series at the Tokyo Dome, I believe. Might be the Sapporo Dome, but they're going to play a couple of games November 9th and 10th in Japan. You still got time. You can still get ready. 2 months.
Feels pretty good.
But like you said, I mean, coming up 6 months away, getting a chance to watch and cover Team Australia, they're always in a tough pool. And
always. Yep.
Facing off against Japan, that's the gold standard. You know, USA Baseball obviously winning it in 2017. They're the reigning champs. But in that part of the world, Australia is trying to measure itself against Japan, and we know how baseball crazy Japan is. Our viewership so heavily based in Japan. As the line out will wrap things up here. Christian Byers struck it well, but he's retired And we'll continue that conversation on the other side. 2 runs home for South Africa. Germany needs 3 to end it in the bottom of the 8th. Bottom of the 8th inning in a 7-run game, the early termination of a game in the World Baseball Classic as dictated by the run rules. If Germany scores 10 runs here, leads by 10 runs, if they score 3 more, this game would be wrapped up early. Germany and South Africa tied 2-2 going to the bottom of the 6th. The 7 spot there for the home team, 2 more in the 7th. South Africa 2 back in the 8th. But a 7-run lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning as Germany tries to move on to face the Czech Republic coming up tomorrow and end the World Baseball Classic dreams of South Africa for this upcoming 2023 edition.
Where you've seen France, first team to bow out. There will be another team today, another team tomorrow. Also, we'll see our first qualification happen tomorrow too. We've got Great Britain and Spain. New pitcher in the game, Dean Jacobs. Trying to get his team back in the dugout. One more chance, make something happen.
Aaron Altair, that monster homer off the batter's eye in his last trip to the plate. Squaring off here with Dean Jacobs. The international baseball calendar continuing later on this fall. Big congratulations to USA Baseball, which rallied to beat Japan in essentially a play-in game for the World Championship final in the U18 Baseball World Cup, and then had to play later in the day in a rematch of the 2019 World Championship final. And the United States taking down Chinese Taipei, the team that represents Taiwan, as a walk here will get things started in the 8th for Germany. So USA Baseball has now swept the World Cup calendar so far this year. They won U12s in Taiwan back in August. They won U15s in Mexico the earlier part of this month, U18s in Florida yesterday. USA Baseball doesn't send a team to U23s. That World Cup will be coming up next month in Taiwan. But that is one heck of a sweep for the United States.
Well, that's another program too. Even Team USA putting more emphasis back into international games.
Aldrich bouncing out back to the mound. Yeah, very much so. And it's been kind of a total, I think, change of perspective on what the international game means since the U.S. won the 2017 Classic.
Good point.
I think that reframed what a lot of people think about international baseball in the United States, because that team was so much fun to watch. We had Adam Jones in here a couple days ago talking about his catch that now defines the WBC. As you take a look at where we sit right now here in this World Baseball Classic qualifier, The Game 6 winner that comes out of this matchup will move on to face the Czech Republic tomorrow. We'll get that game as well as Spain and Great Britain, the 2-1 beatens at 2-0 apiece. The winner of their matchup is headed on to the World Baseball Classic. The loser will face the winner of what looks like right now will be the Czech Republic and Germany, with the second spot in the WBC on the line. Bouncing ball through the left side. Altair holds up at third.
Yeah, you talked about Team USA and just trying to, be obviously dominating the world, because they should. I mean, that's, this is where baseball, this is where it all happens. Obviously, there's countries around the world that play baseball, but nothing like in the U.S. And a lot of it comes down for them to getting those players, those youth players, making sure they're available from some of these, the best select teams. A lot of those age groups, too, they're so caught up in being committed to the right school and signing professionally, especially at that 18U. So I think the big draw card was, hey, look, come play on Team USA. We're going to offer, that's going to be part of it too, as far as being committed to certain schools. I was talking to him.
Lucas Dunn, bouncer to third, to second for one, on to first, and the double play closes things out here in the eighth. We will head to the ninth. Germany needs 3 outs to extend its WBC dreams to tomorrow. Come on back to Regensburg. Top of the ninth inning in Regensburg as the German national team looking to move on to tomorrow's pivotal game against the Czech Republic, as they will keep their World Baseball Classic hopes alive if they can get 3 more outs here in the top half of the ninth inning without allowing 7 or 8. Germany took this game over the 7th spot in the bottom of the 6th. Added 2 more in the 7th. South Africa got 2 back in the 8th, but here we go to the 9th, and Sasha Ko will kick and deal his first pitch to Victor Ngope. It's high for ball 1. 11 runs, 14 hits, an error for Germany. 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for South Africa. And the South Africa team, I mean, they fought. They lost a 1-run game on day number 1 to Spain. Today they had this thing tied 2-2 going to the bottom of the 6th inning, but just not enough horses out there.
Exactly. Kieran Lovegrove started this game. He was outstanding. Just the 2 runs. Worked through some tough situations, but man, essentially it's been 2 games from the 6th inning onwards. It's been domination from the offense of Germany, but man, tough way to go down if you're South Africa.
3 balls and no strikes to Ngope. Victor out of the 2 spot in the order today. He's been to the plate 4 times. He's only got 1 at bat. 2 successful sacrifice bunts, 1 walk. He also struck out. That was to lead off the 3rd. Former Pittsburgh Pirates prospect takes that pitch for a strike. 3-1. You know, and you kind of wonder what the discussion was in that dugout. Presumably just get as many base runners as possible, and Victor Ngope starts on the right note with the leadoff walk.
Yeah, it's about obviously base runners. You don't walk into this inning just kind of silent in that dugout if you're Andrew Berglund. You walk in and you say, listen, you've got nowhere else to be right now. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing to lose right now. Just generate base runners. We will see what happens, but get on base any way you can.
Pitch there for a strike. Kyle Bota single last time.
It's tough though, man. You're in that dugout, writing's on the wall. You're trying to look each other in the eye. You spent so much time prepping for this thing. So much time, so much sacrifice, time away from your family. You know, putting in those extra hours around your regular day job essentially for most of these guys. It's tough, and you want to be able to look each other in the eye and say, and hold your head up. But man, it is tough. But again, you still got half an inning to try and make something happen.
1-1 on the inside corner, 1-2. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, these teams, especially in this region, the amount of dedication it takes to play baseball at this high of a level is really incredible. And for these South Africa guys, they sacrifice a lot to be part of this program, be part of this team. The 1-2, a swing and a miss, and out number 1.
This is tough pitch. Fastball down in the zone. There's one out. But yeah, no, you said it too. And also from a pitching standpoint, you know, look, you've had your professional career. That's well gone. And now you're back and you're trying to hold on. You want to play at that international level. You want to help out your team, your organization. So you have to wake your body back up and try and get your arm back in shape. It takes months to do that, especially as you get older. You know, like you said, a lot of time sacrificed. Most of these guys have families now. They've got kids. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, you shared briefly that anecdote about the story of the load shedding in South Africa. These guys were not able to practice under the lights at night because the electrical grid during the summer at their training ground, they didn't have power for the lights. So there were no nighttime workouts for these guys. So they're trying to work out, you know, on their own time or get as much work in as possible together as a group. We talked about the 6 months prior to the start of this World Baseball Classic, the way that they got together over Zoom and all of those types of meetings. As a shot through the right side as a base hit for Tyler Smith, his first of the day. And the commitment to building something big in South Africa is there, and it will be there until they get it where they want it. But at this stage now, 2 outs away from elimination, first and second, threatening here in the 9th.
Yeah, and just look, I've been in that situation. I gave myself 4 months. I was going to finish my career in Tokyo in 2017. I knew I was going to pitch professional baseball after that. I started getting into broadcasting and get on with my life. But, man, I gave myself 4 months to get in shape. It is not a situation you just roll into this and have fun. I was not going to show up in Tokyo not at peak form, so a lot of time spent.
Dale Feltman, blooper out shallow right center. That'll be down for a base hit. Third man on this inning, bases loaded with 1 out.
But they just won't go away right now in the top of the 9th. Loaded bags. Down by 7.
Did you lift? I heard you lift. When you were getting ready, do some lifting?
Of course. I went from doing the old beach workouts to back into the rotational stuff. Started getting after it. Tell you what, I was hurting. It was hard.
I bet.
Doing all the velocity training I do a lot of weighted ball stuff. And
at this stage.
Yeah, you look at this. Sorry, I just got to show the bullpen. And for this German team, you don't want to have to burn another pitcher in this situation. But also, too, the pitch count comes into play here. You got 54 pitches.
Yeah, so Sasha Kuhn now done for the remainder of this qualifier. But yeah, the last thing you want to do right now if you're Steve Janssen is go out there, have to make a move, bring somebody else on. A swing and a fly ball deep into left, going back Wilson Lee. Can't see it, and he reaches out at the last second and makes the catch. Tagging at third, Victor Ngope will score on a sacrifice fly by Benji Smith. Man, if that thing got out of here, all of a sudden it's a 3-run game with 1 out. but instead it turns into a sacrifice fly.
Wow, smiles all around too. He just picked that ball up. Bit of a sunball for him at the last second. But you said it too. That ball gets out there. We've got a 3-run game all of a sudden.
That thing sounded like it came off the end of the bat, but the way we've seen the ball travel here just feels like anything that's solidly struck into the air has a chance to leave. So now with 2 outs, first and second, and Tyrone Milne trying to extend this thing for South Africa. Milne 1 for 3. He was hit by a pitch in the 4th. He singled through the right side in the 8th inning. Sends this one out to right, and that is right into the glove of Demetrius Moore. And Germany is moving on to continue its pursuit of the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Our final score in this one, Germany breaking out at the plate on the way to an 11-5 win over South Africa. This is a big step for this German program because in front of a home crowd, last night we were expecting something close to a sellout. Didn't happen that way. The weather changed plans, but you get back to this field today, able to ramp yourselves back up. This is huge. Germany has hosted these qualifiers before, didn't make it through to the big tournament. Now they're continuing that pursuit. Yeah, and they still have 2 games to get through in order to qualify, 2 more wins. But you see, talk about this South African team. Man, they were right in there for 5 innings. They looked strong, and then all of a sudden it comes down to that depth. Kieran Lovegrove was outstanding, but for Team Germany, big congratulations putting down the hammer late in this game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Congratulations to South Africa, a team full of guys who have contributed a ton to baseball in their country, from Kyle Botha and Jonathan Phillips and Justin Erasmus and all of the returning players from a few years ago. An incredible run through their careers. Don't want to leave out Donovan Hendricks and Jared Ilario. Big congrats to them, and the same to Germany, which is on to tomorrow. For Ryan Rowland-Smith, our producer Tim Fryer, I'm Tyler Mont. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Woo!